Chapter 988. Brother Chu, have you become an immortal? Mr. First asked as soon as he arrived. Master, you haven't even overcome the 3 disasters and 9 tribulations. How did you become an immortal? Then what's going on? How am I supposed to know? Jianguan said angrily. Not long after, Chu Kuangren's door opened and he walked out in a white robe. He could not help but chuckle when he saw Mr. First, Jianguan, and the others. Heh, it's my honor to have so many people here to welcome me. Mr. First's mouth twitched. Don't you have any idea what kind of commotion you've caused? Master, have you mastered the immortal consciousness? Jianguan asked curiously. Chu Kuangren nodded and did not hide the truth. Everyone gasped when they heard that. It was their first time hearing about someone who had mastered the immortal consciousness before becoming an immortal. Brother Chu, you really are capable of the impossible. Mr. First looked at Chu Kuangren strangely. They did not ask further. It was a personal cultivation secret. Even if they asked, Chu Kuangren would not tell them. After chatting for a while, the few masters left. Deep within the academy, a white-haired elder opened his eyes and looked in Chu Kuangren's direction. He murmured, "What an anomaly! I wonder what kind of changes this person will bring to the upcoming heavenly fate struggle." The heavenly fate struggle was the biggest variable in the history of the Qinglan immortal realm. However, there was another anomaly besides this variable. No one knew what this divergent would do or what kind of ending this variable would lead to. Inside Chu Kuangren's residence, Chu Kuangren sensed the immortal consciousness within his body. He was quite satisfied with his closed-door meditation. The soul condensation liquid's effect was so powerful that it directly elevated his 9 transformations 3 elemental soul refinement technique to the 7th transformation. This 7th transformation allowed him to master the source of the soul, allowing him to form an immortal soul and master the immortal consciousness before becoming an immortal. Such an opportunity of fortune was extremely rare. So, you're here for the test? Chu Kuangren looked at Xianxia and the other 2 ladies. The 2 ladies nodded. The gentle lady looked at Chu Kuangren and could not help but marvel. How could there be such a good-looking person in this world? She finally understood why Xianxia couldn't forget this person. Not only that, but he had grasped immortal consciousness as a celestial seed, and he had even defied the heavens to kill immortals. This kind of talent far surpassed that of a celestial seed king. Even Gu Lufang was far inferior to him. Come, show me your sword technique, Chu Kuangren said to Xianxia. All right. Xianxia used her sword art. The sword qi interweaved and formed a faint dragon shadow. Throughout the entire process, Chu Kuangren had been using the spirit of omniscience to analyze his opponent's techniques and weaknesses. When you make the second move, lower your arm by 3 inches. Also, the monarch qi in my body is circulating too quickly. His steps are getting bigger. Chu Kuangren casually pointed out his opponent's flaws and corrected them one by one before saying, "Do as I say and perform it again." Xianxia did as told. This time, the power of her sword art had increased by more than a level. This caused Jianguan and the others' expressions to slightly change. Just a few words of advice could increase the power of the sword technique. What ability was this? If you practice a few more times, you should be able to reach the 3rd level before the assessment, Chu Kuangren said. Then, he looked at the gentle lady and the rabbit in her arms and activated the spirit of omniscience to analyze the poison in the rabbit's body. It's not difficult to detoxify the poison, but this is your assessment, so I can't tell you the answer directly. However, I can give you a few pointers, Chu Kuangren said. The gentle lady had an extraordinary level of understanding. Under Chu Kuangren's pointers, she soon found the answer and detoxified the poison. The 2 ladies looked at Chu Kuangren with stars in their eyes. At that moment, they were filled with admiration for Chu Kuangren. The problem that had troubled them for many days was solved with just a few words from Chu Kuangren. It was just too amazing. Jianguan, Gu Lufang, and the others looked at Chu Kuangren in awe. They had discovered yet another terrifying talent of Chu Kuangren's. A master teacher. In this world, there was no shortage of powerful cultivators or geniuses. However, These geniuses and strong cultivators would always encounter countless problems during their growth. Sometimes, they would even have to figure it out on their own. If they had a master teacher to guide them at this time, they would definitely be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort. They would be able to avoid many detours and lay a solid foundation in the early stages. Besides resources and cultivator talents, the guidance of a master teacher was also a major factor for the major forces to cultivate geniuses. However, no matter how powerful a master teacher was, it was not as exaggerated as Chu Kuangren. It was as if he could instantly see through a cultivator's problems and find the solution to the problem. Such an ability was too terrifying. Brother Chu, there are some things that I don't understand here. Can you give me some pointers? Gu Lufang suddenly said. He had cast an immortal technique, but he was not very familiar with it. Chu Kuangren used the spirit of omniscience to analyze it and gave a few pointers. Gu Lufang immediately learned a lot. Initially, with his qualifications, it would not take him too long to solve this problem, but it would not be solved so quickly either. Now he was finally sure. Chu Kuangren was a master teacher. A master teacher who far surpassed all the teachers in the 100 academies. This matter cannot be ignored. I must tell the others. Gu Lufang thought to himself. He can solve people's problems with just a few words? Does such a master teacher really exist in this world? Mr. First was a little surprised. The other teachers looked at each other. What Lufang said is true. Gu Lufang said, if Brother Chu really has such an ability, then I'm afraid we'll have to pay more attention to him. How about we get some students to test him? Mr. Fourth suggested. Yes, that's fine. Mr. First nodded. Soon, students came to Chu Kuangren's residence one after another. Each of them had questions that they wanted Chu Kuangren to solve. Chu Kuangren naturally knew that this was the Academy's way of testing him. He did not hide it from them. Since they had opened up the sea of books, he did not mind doing something for the Academy. Teaching was something that he had promised. In just a few days, Chu Kuangren had taught dozens of elite students in the Academy and solved many of their questions. It was not just limited to medical skills and cultivation. It even included auxiliary cultivation methods such as talismans, formations, and pills. All of a sudden, all the students who came to Chu Kuangren to solve their problems learned a lot, and their respect for Chu Kuangren grew. A master teacher had come to the Academy. News of this matter spread like wildfire. Many students wanted to ask Chu Kuangren to help them solve their problems. Even the teachers of the Academy could not help but be shocked. Initially, they only wanted to get a few students to test Chu Kuangren. However, they did not expect it to cause such a huge commotion. Chu Kuangren's abilities were far beyond their imagination. Runes, formations, pills, swordsmanship, medical skills. This person is proficient in all of them. What an all-rounder! The teachers and teachers of the Academy were shocked. Chapter 989. Have you heard? There's a new master teacher in our Academy. I heard that he can enlighten people with just a few words. F***ck me, are you serious? Don't lie to me. Why would I lie to you? Do you know Xue Qinxin? Of course I do. She's one of the goddesses of our Academy, the daughter of Qin Guan. Who doesn't know her? I heard that Xue Qinxin couldn't pass the assessment this time, but because of his guidance, she got an A+ grade. She's one of the top students in the assessment, and that master teacher only gave her a few words of guidance. Who is that? The immortal slaying Chu Kuangren. Hiss. Discussions like this quickly spread throughout the 100 Academy. Chu Kuangren was already famous enough. After all, no one in the entire Qinglan immortal world had done something like that except for him. Now that he had a master teacher as a gimmick, the entire Academy was extremely curious about this person. Whether they believed him or not, they all wanted to see him for themselves. Outside Chu Kuangren's residence, the students who came to ask for guidance had formed a long queue. Hey, aren't you from the alchemy school? Why are you here? Aren't you from the talisman school? Why are you here too? I'm here to look for Master Chu. I heard that his alchemy skills are unparalleled. One of our alchemists managed to refine a demi-immortal pill under his guidance. Master Chu knows alchemy too? Tisk tiske, I heard that Master Chu is an all-rounder. I heard that he knows a thing or two about runes, alchemy, equipment, and so on. The line was filled with discussions. At that moment, in Chu Kuangren's residence, an incredibly powerful origin ripple suddenly erupted. Celestial light shone brightly between heaven and earth. Everyone was shocked by the horrifying origin ripple. The origin ripple grew stronger until it was complete. The complete origin ripple was a purple lightning bolt. The lightning flashed in the void and its majestic power swept across the academy. It's immortal Yuan. Someone has ascended to immortality. This is immortal Yuan formed from the lightning origin ripple. In the academy, only Mr. Seventh cultivated the lightning origin ripple, and he's a top-notch half-immortal at that. Has Mr. Seventh ascended to immortality? But why is he here? Just as they were in shock, a gasp suddenly rang. Under Master Chu's guidance, Mr. Seventh has become an immortal. As soon as these words came out, the entire audience was silent. Everyone seemed to have lost the ability to speak at the same time. In the next instant, a wave of exclamations erupted like a tsunami. The entire place was boiling. What? Great Teacher Chu actually guided Mr. Seventh to become an immortal? Are you for real? Is Great Teacher Chu that terrifying? He can actually guide others to become immortals. No, I have to go in and ask Great Teacher Chu. No one can stop me. I want to acknowledge Great Teacher Chu as my teacher. Get lost, I came here first. Giving pointers to others to become immortals. Such a thing was too rare in the Qinglan immortal world. It could even be said that this was the first time such a thing had happened. He had never heard of any great teacher with such capabilities. After all, everyone's Tao was different. To become an immortal, most people had to rely on their own enlightenment. The guidance of others could only serve as a reference at most. If one were to completely copy it mechanically, it would only harm others and oneself in the end. However, if there was really someone who could guide others to immortal ascension, what kind of realm would that person be at? Just how exaggerated was his comprehension of the Tao? Inside Chu Kuangren's residence, a middle-aged man with a sturdy physique slowly withdrew his immortal core fluctuations. This person was the Academy's Mr. Seventh. He looked at the calm Chu Kuangren before him and bowed solemnly. Thank you for your guidance, Mr. Chu. He did not address Chu Kuangren as a fellow Taoist. Instead, he called him Mr. That showed how much he respected Chu Kuangren. Whoosh, whoosh, several streams of light flew past. These people were the Academy's teachers. They arrived just in time to see the scene of Mr. Seventh bowing to Chu Kuangren. For a moment, everyone was a little confused. What was going on? Could it be that what those students said outside is true? Did Chu Kuangren really guide Seventh Brother to become an immortal? This is too unbelievable. Mr. Fourth's beautiful eyes widened as she could not help but exclaim. Seventh Brother, what's going on? Mr. First frowned and asked. It's like this. Mr. Seventh took a deep breath and spoke tirelessly. It turned out that Mr. Seventh had obtained an immortal scripture in his early years, and it was this immortal scripture that allowed him to cultivate to where he was today. However, he later discovered that this immortal scripture had flaws. Although it could allow one to improve quickly, it would cause certain limitations in Taoist enlightenment, making it harder for Mr. Seventh to become an immortal. This was also the reason why he had not improved for many years. He had thought of giving up on this immortal scripture, but it was tantamount to destroying his own cultivation base. In the past few days, Chu Kuangren's reputation as a great teacher began to spread. He came here with the idea of giving it a try and at the same time test Chu Kuangren's ability. He wanted to see if Chu Kuangren had a way to solve this problem that had troubled him for many years. You all saw the result. Mr. Chu fixed the flaws in the immortal scripture for me, and because of that, I became an immortal. Mr. Seventh said excitedly. He looked at Chu Kuangren with admiration in his eyes. Upon hearing that, the other students stared at Chu Kuangren in shock. You're exaggerating, Mr. Seventh. He was able to become an immortal mainly because of his many years of accumulation. his foundation is far beyond that of an ordinary half-immortal. After fixing the flaws in the immortal scripture, he was able to accumulate enough to become an immortal. Chu Kuangren smiled faintly. As for why he could fix the immortal scripture, it was thanks to his strong comprehension and the analysis of the spirit of omniscience. In addition, he had read extensively in the Sea of Books some time ago, so his understanding of various immortal techniques had improved greatly. Under these conditions, he was able to fix the immortal scripture. Although he said so, the teachers were still extremely amazed. Some of them even had an eagerness in their eyes. "Brother Chu, my medical skills have been stagnant for a long time. Can I ask for your advice?" Mr. Fourth was the first to speak. "I heard that Brother Chu also has extraordinary attainments in alchemy. If I may be so bold, I would like to spar with you," Mr. Tenth said. "I would also like to discuss the mysteries of runes with you." Hey, you guys are too much. Brother Chu is only one person. I came here first, so of course I should go first," Mr. Fourth said with dissatisfaction. "Fourth senior sister, if we were to say who should go first, it would definitely be me. I still have some small problems with the immortal scripture that I would like to ask Mr. Chu for guidance," Mr. Seventh said. The few teachers were in a heated argument, not to mention the large group of students outside. Now, everyone in the 100 Academy, from the teachers to the students, had nothing but high praise for Chu Kuangren. Beside them, Sword Crown was secretly shocked. "Is this the master's ability? It's amazing." At that moment, a ray of auspicious light surged from afar. A celestial crane flew over and landed in front of Chu Kuangren. "It's the Dean's celestial crane." The teacher's expressions turned serious. In the 100 Academy, to a certain extent, this celestial crane represented the Dean. By the Dean's order, Brother Chu is appointed as the Academy's 13th gold-ranked lecturer. "I wonder if Brother Chu is willing?" the celestial crane said. Its voice was like that of a 7- or 8-year-old child. Chu Kuangren pondered for a while. "Sure." Chapter 990. There were hundreds of teachers in the 100 Academies, but there were only 12 gold-ranked lecturers, who were Mr. 12, who stood in front of Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren was now the 13th. Mr. 13. The title of Master of the 100 Academies was not to be underestimated even by the Immortals because they represented the 100 Academies. It was one of the most ancient orthodoxies in the Qinglan immortal realm. Chu Kuangren agreed to become Mr. 13 because he wanted to continue absorbing knowledge from the ocean of books. Besides, with the Academy as his backing, he could also intimidate the immortal orthodoxies that harbored ill intentions towards him. Killing two birds with one stone, why not? Since then, the 100 Academies had a new Mr. 13. Mr. 13, who was well-read and could be said to be an all-rounder. This news had spread throughout the 100 Academies, and even some immortal orthodoxies had received the news. After knowing that this Mr. 13 was Chu Kuangren, some of the orthodoxies that were hostile towards Chu Kuangren were so angry that they screamed, "Chu Kuangren has joined the 100 Academies? And not as a student, but as a teacher." All the teachers in the Academy are knowledgeable people. How did Chu Kuangren become the Academy's Mr. 13? F***ck, I'll have to think twice before I do anything to him. The 100 Academies is not a force to be trifled with. That Dean is one of the top few in the Qinglan immortal realm. I heard that his cultivation level has already reached the heavenly immortal realm. I can't believe Chu Kuangren has such good luck. Inside the 100 Academies, after Chu Kuangren became Mr. 13, he taught for a period of time. Then he plunged into the ocean of books again. This time, he stayed in the Sea of Books for a full half a year, absorbing the knowledge in the Sea of Books almost crazily. Now that his 9 transformations 3 foundational soul training technique had reached the 7th transformation, his soul had become an immortal soul. Coupled with the unique nature of this god-tier technique, his comprehension had improved significantly. The 3 immortal souls, heaven, earth, and human, worked together to absorb the knowledge recorded in the ocean of books. His speed was much faster than the last time he came to the ocean of books. Coupled with the enhancement of the poetic qi naturally glorious phenomenon, In the short span of half a year, he had read and comprehended almost all of the countless books in the Sea of Books. This magnificent feat could be said to be unprecedented. In the Sea of Books, Chu Kuangren was still reading the books to absorb more knowledge. Mr. Forth looked at him from the side and couldn't help but exclaim in admiration, especially when he saw the other party's peerlessly handsome and flawless face. He felt that it was a feast for the eyes, and for a moment he was a little dazed. However, at this very moment, rays of mysterious light circulated around Chu Kuangren's body. It was the strange phenomenon of having the scholarly air in one's belly. Mr. Forth came back to his senses and couldn't help but be surprised. One must know that Chu Kuangren could already control this phenomenon very well. In the past few months, this phenomenon had not appeared much. But now, why did it appear again? Before she could figure it out, the mystical glow on Chu Kuangren's body became more and more dazzling. Countless runes surged and waves of Taoist rhymes could be heard. Then, under her shocked gaze, the mysterious brilliance mixed with countless runes turned into a golden light that shot into the sky. In the void, endless spiritual qi surged, golden lotuses bloomed, Tao sounds rang out, there were dragons and phoenixes, qilins treading on the sea, for divine beasts rising, and other mysterious phenomena appeared. The entire Qinglan immortal world seemed to be shaking. Deep within the academy, the white-haired old man suddenly opened his eyes and looked in the direction of the Sea of Books with shock in his eyes. This feeling, could it be? The entire academy was shaken. All the teachers had arrived at the Sea of Books together. At the entrance of the Sea of Books, Mr. Forth was stunned. "Forth Senior Sister, what's going on?" Mr. Seventh asked. "Don't ask me, I don't know either." Mr. Forth shook his head. At that moment, something strange happened again. Within that golden light, an extremely strange origin energy suddenly emerged. The moment that origin energy appeared, all the teachers and students felt their bodies tremble. It was as if some kind of mysterious enlightenment had emerged in their minds, and some of the cultivation questions that they had in the past were answered. For a moment, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. What kind of origin energy is this? I just felt the fluctuation, and I feel like I'm suddenly enlightened. Oh my God, what kind of power is this? I've never heard of this origin energy before. Even the experienced and knowledgeable gentlemen were shocked. At that moment, an immortal crane soared into the sky, and on its back sat a white-haired old man. Of course you don't know about this origin energy, because even in the ancient and complete immortal world, there were very few people who could comprehend the enlightenment origin energy, the white-haired old man exclaimed. "Greetings, Dean." The teachers bowed one by one. The newcomer was the Dean of the 100 Schools Academy. The enlightenment origin energy? Mr. First frowned, then his pupils shrank. The rumored origin energy comprehended by the 100 Schools Academy's saints? The Dean nodded. I didn't expect to see someone who could comprehend the enlightenment origin energy in my lifetime. Enlightenment was one of the most unique origins in the world. It could make the ignorant gain wisdom, tame wild beasts, and make all living beings abide by the rules. The enlightenment origin energy is extremely mysterious. Even if I tried my best, I still couldn't understand it. I can't believe a young immortal seed managed to comprehend it. The Dean said emotionally, even if this person doesn't become an immortal with this enlightenment origin energy, he can still cultivate thousands of immortal seeds, have students all over the world, and become a famous master teacher. If he has enough opportunities of fortune, he can even become someone like the saints of the 100 Schools Academy and enlighten all living beings. The 100 Schools Academy had a rich heritage that could be traced back to the complete immortal world, which was the immortal ancient era of the previous era. And in that era, every single paragon master of the 100 Schools Academy was a renowned expert in the world of immortals. Even the Dean had to look up to such people. The golden beam of light gradually retracted, and so did the transformations and the mysterious runes around it. The enlightenment origin energy? What an unexpected gain! Chu Kuangren snapped out of the vast sea of knowledge and felt the changes in his body. He did not expect to accidentally understand the Enlightenment origin energy while he was studying the 100 schools of thought and the vast sea of books. Enlightening others required knowledge that far surpassed others. Chu Kuangren had been crazily absorbing all kinds of knowledge to understand the Enlightenment origin energy. Although it was unexpected, it was reasonable. This Enlightenment origin energy was different from the other origins energy that Chu Kuangren had learned in the past. This origin energy was very mysterious. He felt that all the knowledge that he had learned during this period had been integrated under the effect of the Enlightenment origin energy, making it easier for him to use it. Apart from that, his comprehension and learning abilities had also increased to varying degrees. One of the most mysterious origins in this world is indeed extraordinary. Chu Kuangren chuckled. However, enlightening the masses was still not the path that he wanted to take. It was too tiring. He was very lazy. He needed the help of Elder Ruyan, Ling Long, and the others to manage the Firmament Empire. Asking him to enlighten the masses? Forget it. Whoever wanted to go could go. Just like that, a bright path was placed in front of Chu Kuangren, but he abandoned it and refused to take it. Chapter 991. Chu Kuangren had already absorbed all the knowledge in the ocean of books. He suddenly felt a little uninterested and empty. Although he had absorbed a lot of knowledge from the ocean of books, he felt that he was still lacking something to create an origin of his own. Is it not time yet? Chu Kuangren murmured. Although he had made ample preparations to create his own origin, it was still unknown if he could succeed in the end. He did not think too much about it. Heaven planned, but man accomplished. He believed that man could triumph over nature. All he had to do was to do his best and prepare for everything. Brother Chu, nice to meet you. The dean walked up to Chu Kuangren and smiled. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. Greetings, dean. He was not overly respectful to the dean like the others. Instead, he was neither servile nor overbearing. However, the dean and the others did not mind. After all, it was normal for a person who could understand the origin of education, a person who had the potential to become an existence like the holy sage of the academy, to have some pride. Hence, they would not be too demanding. Chu Kuangren only casually chatted with the dean for a while during their first meeting. It was no different from a casual conversation. The other students could not help but be amazed. They could not communicate like that with the dean. It was not that they dared to, but they were very respectful to the dean, so it was inevitable that they would feel restrained in front of him. However, Chu Kuangren was not restrained at all. That was because he placed himself on equal footing with the dean. Chu Kuangren's first meeting with the dean ended with a casual chat. The next few days passed by peacefully. He was either teaching the students of the academy or giving pointers to the little fox. Lan Yu, who had understood the origin of education and the spirit of omniscience, could be considered a great teacher. There was a hint of the demeanor of the holy sage of the academy. On this day, Chu Kuangren was studying the origin of energy. Now that his soul had been upgraded into an immortal soul, his consciousness could freely enter and exit the origin realm to study all kinds of origins. He roamed the origin realm every day to study the wonders of the origin. However, just as he was studying the origin, he suddenly felt a strange vibration in the Green Orchid Immortal Realm. This vibration affected the entire Green Orchid Immortal Realm. What is this energy? Chu Kuangren frowned and returned his consciousness to his body. Following that, his immortal consciousness surged out and headed towards the source of the vibration. Not only him, but all the powerhouses in the entire Qinglan immortal world also sensed it and were trying to find the source of this power. Above the clouds, mysterious waves of the Wei circulated, and a golden ball of light emerged from the clouds. Within the ball of light, Tao patterns intertwined. The moment all the experts saw the ball of light, they felt an unparalleled shock. That feeling was like a mortal seeing lightning for the first time. Shock, fear, and even worship. Will of the immortal world. This orb of light contains the will of the immortal world. All the experts sucked in a cold breath. Just like how the Tao of heaven could be born on some planets with life, the world of immortals would also be born with a will similar to the Tao of heaven. It was rumored that the consciousness of the ancient and complete immortal realm could even be compared to the will of the great Tao of the universe. Now, the will of the broken immortal world was second only to the will of the great Tao of the universe. It was beyond the imagination of ordinary immortals. Why is the will of the immortal world inside the golden light? What is it? The experts were puzzled. When Chu Kuangren's immortal consciousness saw the golden light, he immediately asked the spirit of omniscience, Xiao AI, to analyze it. However, before Xiao AI could do anything, the golden light seemed to have sensed something and split into 7 parts. Each part carried a part of the immortal world's will and flew in all directions. When the experts saw the scattered golden light, they could not help but want to stop it. Even a fool would know that the light that contained the immortal world's will was not an ordinary item. It must contain a great opportunity of fortune. It was an opportunity of fortune that even the immortals would be jealous of. However, the speed of the 7 light orbs was extremely fast. In an instant, they escaped into the void and disappeared. All the experts tried to track them, but they could not find any trace of them. The battle of heavenly will, the 7 lights unite, for the destined realm child. A loud voice resounded in the minds of the experts. Even the cultivators of the entire Qinglan immortal world could feel it. At that moment, the entire Qinglan immortal world went crazy. What was that voice just now? You heard it too? Only the immortal worlds will has the ability to speak in the minds of the cultivators of the world. There's no other possibility. But what does it mean? The struggle for the heavenly will, when the 7 lights combine into one, the heavenly will world child. Does that mean that a heavenly will child will appear in this era? And when the heavenly will children fight each other, they will combine the 7 lights to become the heavenly will world child. Realm child? Does that mean the immortal realm child? It must be. The immortal realm child will definitely receive the protection of the immortal world's will. When that happens, becoming an immortal will be a piece of cake. Moreover, the immortal realm child will be able to do whatever he wants in the immortal realm. A great opportunity of fortune, an unprecedented opportunity of fortune. I must find the 7 lights. I want to become the immortal realm child. Countless cultivators went crazy. The orthodoxies went crazy too. The entire Qinglan immortal world fell into an unprecedented frenzy. Everyone wanted to fight for the 7 lights and become the destined realm child. Inside the 100 Academy, Chu Kuangren opened his eyes with a playful look on his face. Destined realm child? What kind of game is this immortal worlds will playing? Is it trying to give itself a son out of nowhere? A great opportunity of fortune usually meant a great risk. He did not think that the immortal worlds would give away such a great opportunity of fortune for nothing. There must be a deeper meaning behind this. Master, the dean is here. At that moment, Lan Yu said from outside the door. Chu Kuangren replied, Got it. He walked out of the door and saw the dean and Gu Lufeng. Dean, what brings you here out of the blue? The battle of heavenly will has begun. I'm just here to confirm if Brother Chu is the destined realm child. The dean smiled. As you can see, the light orb did not look for me. I'm not the destined realm child. But Brother Gu, did you see any light orbs? Gu Lufeng shook her head. It seems that neither you nor I are the destined realm child. Chu Kuangren laughed. He looked at the dean. Dean, you don't seem to be surprised by the battle of heavenly will. Did you know anything beforehand? I'm an expert in the Tao of divination. I've divined the future changes of the Azure Orchid Immortal Realm and predicted the battle of heavenly will. However, I don't know the details, the dean said. Even someone as talented as Brother Chu isn't the destined realm child. I'm really curious who the destined realm children are. Grandpa, do you have a candidate in mind? Gu Lufeng asked the dean. Chu Kuangren was stunned. He did not expect Gu Lufeng to be the dean's grandson. No wonder he was a fairy seed king at such a young age. The immortal worlds will has concealed the heavenly will. I can't divine anything. The dean shook his head. After confirming that Chu Kuangren was not the destined realm child, the dean and Gu Lufeng left. On the way, Gu Lufeng was puzzled. Grandpa, If someone like Brother Chu isn't the destined realm child, are those destined realm children more outstanding than Brother Chu? No. The dean shook his head. He's not the destined realm child because he's an anomaly that even the immortal worlds cannot manipulate. Chapter 992. Divine Dragon Island. In a blood-colored dragon pool, a golden-robed young man stood in the air. The thick blood mist in the blood pool surged towards him. Suddenly, a golden light entered the blood pool and arrived before the golden-robed young man. The golden-robed young man was shocked. After seeing what the golden light was, the golden-robed young man was overjoyed. He could not help but laugh. The will of the immortal world. I really am the child of destiny. 7 lights fused into one, the child of destiny. Very good. After I fuse with the blood of the immortal ancient dragon clan, I will marry the pure-blooded divine phoenix of Mount Wutong. When the time comes, I will fuse with the dragon phoenix and I will be able to cultivate the strongest dragon phoenix immortal body in the world. Together with the immortal world's will. May I ask who in the immortal world can compare to me? The golden dragon young master was extremely excited. The blood pool around him churned. The news of the golden dragon young master obtaining the immortal world's will and becoming the child of destiny quickly spread to the upper echelons of Divine Dragon Island. The golden dragon bloodline, in particular, was in high spirits. The immortal worlds will split into 7 and scattered in all directions. They sought fated people to attach themselves to and become the child of destiny to fight for the heavenly fate. Divine Flame Cult. A servant who was bullied dragged his exhausted body back to his residence. When he thought of the bullying he suffered today, his eyes were filled with hatred. He clenched his fists and veins bulged. Damn it! Didn't I just secretly learn an immortal art? How dare they beat me up like this? One day I'll, Lin Yen, swear that I will make those who bullied me pay 100-fold. At this moment, a ripple appeared in the void before him. A ball of golden light suddenly appeared before him. Lin Yen was stunned. What is this? He looked at the golden light in front of him and stretched out his hand. The moment he touched the golden light, a large amount of comprehension regarding the Tao rapidly surged into his mind. His cultivation was also rising rapidly. In a few breaths' time, Lin Yen had become a peak Tao Lord. Immortal World's Will, Divine Flame Great Tao. This immortal worlds will contains the Divine Flame Great Tao. As long as you continue cultivating according to this path, you will definitely become an immortal in the future. My opportunity has come. From then on, the servant had become the son of destiny, ascending to the heavens in a single step. The other side. In the great Yuan God dynasty, one of the 12 kings of immortal seeds, Yuan Su, held a golden ball of light in his hand. There was a playful look in his eyes. Interesting. I've just awakened the memories of my past life, and the will of the immortal world comes knocking on my door. Is it going to call me the chosen of heaven? Is this a coincidence, or is it the will of the immortal world? Forget it. No matter what, this will of the immortal world is extremely useful to me. Moreover, quite a few supreme immortal seeds have appeared in this life. Even if I have the memories of my past life, it won't be easy to defeat them. Especially Chu Kuangren. At the mention of Chu Kuangren's name, Yuan Su could not help but reveal a strange look in his eyes. There was a deep sense of dread in his tone. Perhaps after I refine the will of the immortal world and comprehend its profundities, I'll be able to contend against this person. Yuan Su murmured. Oh, could there be a mistake? Am I the chosen of heaven? In a certain mountain range, a red-robed woman holding a spear could not help but frown as she looked at the golden ball of light in front of her. She felt that something was not right. How could an outsider like her become the chosen of heaven? Although I'm curious as to why the will of the immortal world would come looking for me, how can I turn a blind eye to such a great opportunity? The red-robed woman grabbed the golden ball of light. Suddenly, a large amount of enlightenment surged into her heart, instantly elevating her understanding of the Tao to an extremely high level. She even mastered the origin energy. Her cultivation base also improved by leaps and bounds, directly reaching the peak of the Heavenly Lord realm. She could even step onto the path of immortality at any time. The will of the immortal world is indeed extraordinary, the red-robed woman said emotionally. She had only begun to integrate the will of the immortal world, and it had already given her such a huge improvement. Once the integration was completed, how much more powerful would it be? Moreover, what would happen if all 7 lights were gathered? I didn't expect to meet a chosen of heaven here. At that moment, a cold voice rang out. The red-robed woman's expression changed drastically. She hurriedly retreated, holding the long spear in her hand as she stared at the cultivator who suddenly appeared in front of her. It was a cold woman dressed in a palace robe. She had delicate eyebrows, creamy skin, and a slim figure. More importantly, the aura emanating from her body made the red-robed woman feel suffocated. This was definitely an immortal. How unlucky! I've just obtained the will of the immortal world, and I've already encountered an immortal. If this person wants to kill me, I definitely won't be able to fight back. I've just become a chosen of heaven, and I'm going to die? What kind of *T chosen of heaven is this? The red-robed woman groaned inwardly. The woman in the palace robe seemed to have read her mind. She smiled faintly and said, "Don't be nervous. The chosen of heaven carries the will of the immortal world. If I kill you, I'll also be entangled by karma." "Senior, what are you trying to do?" The red-robed woman did not let down her guard because of this. "Your aura proves that you're an outsider, and yet an outsider has become a chosen of heaven. This is very interesting. Now that the heavenly fate battle has begun, all the great ones in the Qinglan immortal world are betting on finding and supporting a chosen of heaven to become a chosen of heaven. And I, on the other hand, want to bet on you. I'm from the Jade Pure Immortal sect. If you're willing, I can take you in as my disciple, teach you cultivation techniques, and help you become a chosen of heaven." The woman in the palace robe smiled faintly. "Do I have a choice?" The red-robed woman smiled bitterly. She knew that if she did not agree, the woman in the palace robe would not let her leave so easily. Moreover, although she had become a chosen of heaven, she did not have any background, so it would be very difficult for her to compete with other chosen of heaven. Perhaps she could rely on the Jade Pure Immortal sect. The heavenly fate battle. A hint of excitement appeared in the red-robed woman's eyes. It had been a long time since she felt this kind of excitement. "Welcome. By the way, what's your name?" "Yan Honghua." Inside the 100 Academy, Chu Kuangren was holding a book in his hand, reading it. It was the green capsule heavenly scroll. A heavenly scroll that recorded countless mysteries of the Tao of medicine. In front of him, dozens of students were sitting upright and still, listening to him talk about the Tao of medicine. They looked like they were intoxicated. "All right, today's lesson ends here. You may leave now," Chu Kuangren said calmly. "Mr. 13, please continue with your lesson," someone said, and the others looked like they wanted to continue as well. "Don't bite off more than you can chew. Let's talk after you've learned everything today," Chu Kuangren said calmly. Helpless, the crowd then left one by one. "Master, are you done with your lesson?" Jingguan walked up and said. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. Jingguan looked at Chu Kuangren, who was still reading, and was surprised. It had been 2 years since Chu Kuangren came to the 100 Academy. In these 2 years, Chu Kuangren's cultivation level did not increase, but Jingguan felt that he was becoming more and more unpredictable. Occasionally, Chu Kuangren would inadvertently leak an aura that made Jingguan's heart palpitate. It was difficult for him to guess how strong Chu Kuangren was now. Chapter 993. "Master, I'd like to leave," Jingguan said after a moment of hesitation. "All right, I understand." Chu Kuangren nodded. "Master, are you not going to ask me what I'm going to do?" "Go to the Sword Burial Ocean." "Yes." Jingguan nodded. "Sooner or later, there will be an explanation for what happened between me and Sword Crown." In the past, Jingguan had lost to Sword Crown, and that battle had always been a thorn in his heart. He and Sword Crown would definitely have another battle. 2 days later, Jingguan left. Although the outcome of this trip to the Sword Burial Ocean was uncertain, he still had to go without hesitation. If I come back alive, the Jingguan will continue to follow you, master. I won't hesitate to climb a mountain of swords or dive into a sea of flames for you. Before leaving, Jingguan smiled faintly. Chu Kuangren could not help but roll his eyes when he heard that. There was no one else like him. After Jingguan left, Chu Kuangren had an unexpected harvest. The God of Enlightenment wine that he brewed previously was completed. Looking at the 10 jars of God of Enlightenment wine in front of him, Chu Kuangren could not help but lick his lips. This wine allows one to enter a state of epiphany, and from there, I can deduce what I've learned. Hence, he decisively went into closed-door meditation with the 10 jars of God of Enlightenment wine. While he was in closed-door meditation, somewhere in the Green Orchid Immortal world, a few cultivators were fighting a sea beast. Terrifying energy waves swept across half of the sea, causing the sea water to tumble violently. After a while, the cultivators finally killed the sea beast. Phew, we did it. One of the cultivators breathed a sigh of relief. The cultivators then began to harvest the sea beast's blood, flesh, bones, and other materials that were helpful for cultivation. However, at that moment, one of the cultivators exclaimed and pointed at the sea in the distance with a face full of shock. Look, what's that? All they saw was a huge black shadow floating in the fog of the sea, and a majestic and ancient aura emanated from it. When the black shadow completely revealed itself, everyone could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. It was a very large island. The island was filled with celestial radiance. Countless or complete, there were restrictions scattered all over the island. Vaguely, all kinds of rare treasures, wild beasts, and other strange creatures could be seen. What kind of island is this? Why haven't I heard of it before? This ancient aura? Absolutely extraordinary? Could this be the legendary immortal island of Penglai? A knowledgeable cultivator exclaimed in shock. When the 4 words, Immortal Island Penglai, came out, everyone's pupils trembled violently. Looking at the huge island, his eyes were burning. The immortal island of Penglai is known as the Court of 10,000 Immortals. The immortal island of Penglai, which was worshipped by all Buddhas. Oh my God, why is it here? The immortal island of Penglai? Legends from the ancient immortal world? The execution ground of sect leader Tong Tian, the most powerful immortal? The location of the Jie school in the immortal world? Wasn't it destroyed during the Great War of the immortal world? Why are you here? Isn't this the complete Penglai Island? It was a fragment of Penglai Island. There must be some unimaginable opportunities in this, right? Fast? Quick, go in and investigate. All the cultivators who witnessed the emergence of Immortal Island Penglai were shocked. Right after that, they all flew into Penglai Island to explore. But even if it was a Penglai fragment, the restriction hidden in it was not something that ordinary cultivators could resist. Many people died because of it. Even so, there were still countless cultivators who went forward. All for the sect of Jie's opportunity of fortune. The news of Penglai Island's emergence spread throughout the Qinglan immortal realm in a very short time, and all the orthodoxies took action. All of a sudden, a storm was brewing in the Qinglan immortal realm. The Battle of Heavenly Will had yet to come to an end, but the Penglai Island had already appeared. What about the current Qinglan immortal realm? There were many big movements. Inside the 100 Clan Academy, Chu Kuangren was hugging a few jars of divine enlightenment wine. It could be said that he was living in a drunken stupor and did not care about the outside world at all. However, the higher-ups of the 100 Clan Academy dared not let their guard down. Penglai Immortal Island's reappearance, this type of thing was something that would leave even the immortal ancient inheritances shaken. This was especially the case for those immortals who had lived for a long time, the more they understood what Penglai Island represented. All Buddhas paid homage to it, and tens of thousands of immortals paid homage to it. The weight of these 8 words was too heavy. Although they could not rule out the possibility of exaggeration, it was enough to show what kind of resources Penglai Island had in its heyday. Even if it was only a fragment, No one dared to say that it did not have any heritage or resources left behind by Penglai Island. Inside the Unity Sky Pavilion. The Penglai Island is of great importance. We cannot afford to neglect it. I suggest that we bring Gu Lufang, Gu Wuqing, and the other students to check it out. Mr. Seven said. I guess the other orthodoxies will also take action. If that's the case, let's hurry. Should we bring 13 along? Mr. 4 suddenly said. 13 was also the Academy's Mr. 13, Chu Kuangren. Has 13 come out of his closed-door meditation? I'll go take a look, Mr. 4 said helplessly. Mr. 4 arrived at Chu Kuangren's residence and saw Lan Yu and the little fox. However, Chu Kuangren's room was still tightly shut. There were layers of restrictions outside, and the faint fragrance of wine wafted out. No one knew what Chu Kuangren was doing inside. He couldn't be drunk, right? Mr. 4 thought strangely. She had never seen Chu Kuangren drink that much. She shook her head. This Mr. 13 of the Academy had too many secrets that no one could see through. Miss Lan Yu, is Mr. 13 still not out of his closed-door meditation? For Mr. 11, Mr. 12, and so on, Mr. 4 would usually address them as numbers or old 7, old 6, and so on. However, when it came to Chu Kuangren, she addressed him as Mr. 7. The rest of the teachers did the same. This was because Chu Kuangren's knowledge was so rich that even they, who seemed to be extremely knowledgeable, were amazed by it. Chu Kuangren was now a teacher of the academy. This academy included the students and the teachers. Not yet. Lan Yu shook her head. Then she asked, I heard that the immortal island of Penglai has reappeared. Is that why you're here, Mr. 4? Mr. 4 nodded. Yes. Soon, Mr. 1st, Mr. 7, and I will bring some students there. After all, the opportunities of fortune on Penglai Island are too important for the academy to ignore. I'll go with you. Lan Yu glanced at Chu Kuangren's room and said. She could not always be by her master's side. She had to take the initiative to find opportunities of fortune and strengthen herself. Penglai Island was an opportunity. I'll go too, I'll go too. The little fox jumped up and said. Mr. 4 pondered for a while and nodded. Sure. Lan Yu's current strength was no weaker than any immortal seed. Even Gu Lufang might not be able to defeat her. She was already on the path of immortal ascension. As for the little fox, her divine ability to ignore restrictions would be of great help in the exploration of Penglai Island. Lan Yu, the little fox, and the others made their preparations and then left the academy with Mr. 4, Mr. 1st, and Mr. 7. Meanwhile, in the Qinglan immortal world, the other orthodoxies were also making their moves. Countless cultivators headed towards the direction of Penglai Island. It was even more grand than the immortal ancient battlefield. Chapter 994. Penglai Immortal Island. Countless cultivators rushed over in search of fortuitous encounters. A large number of soldiers stood on a warship, and these soldiers were clustered around a young man dressed in luxurious robes. This man's aura was extraordinary. He was high and mighty, exuding an indescribable air of nobility. This person was the current crown prince of one of the celestial orthodoxies, the great Yuan God dynasty, Yuan Su. It was also one of the 12 immortal seed kings. On the other warship, a young man with a long saber on his back sat with his eyes closed. Swords were stabbed all around him, but every single one of them was a broken sword. These broken swords were surrounded by wisps of gray gas. That was the resentment of the sword. As the young man absorbed the sword grudge, it nourished his saber Tao, making his aura even stronger. The young master of the sword burial sea, the saber sovereign. Amitba. Benefactors, how have you been? A Buddhist chant was heard, and a handsome monk in plain clothes smiled faintly at the crowd. This person was the immortal seed of Jinshan Temple. His aura was actually not any weaker than the Hui Fa of the past. However, not many people responded to him. Only a young man with a long sword on his back nodded slightly at him. The handsome monk was not angry and continued to observe the situation. All the immortal grade orthodoxies and immortal seeds had gathered. The The surrounding cultivators couldn't help but click their tongues in wonder and discuss animatedly. The crown prince of the great Yuan God dynasty, Dugu Yu of the Spirit Emperor Mountain, the little Arhat of the Golden Mountain Temple who is on par with the little sage monk of the past, and the Saber King of the Sword Burial Sea. These are all kings of immortal seeds. They are indeed powerful. Do you think there are 1 or 2 children of destiny hidden among them? That's not impossible. Look at that Saber King. Rumor has it that the Saber King was defeated by Chu Kuangren in a single move. However, in just 2 short years, he has rapidly risen to power and defeated many swordsmen. Moreover, he has also cultivated a strange technique that allows him to absorb the sword resentment chi for his own use. His strength has already set foot on the path to immortality. None of them are good people. Buzz. Ripples appeared in the void. In the distance, a huge fiery red warship flew over. The warship was engraved with a very obvious flame pattern. It's the Divine Flame Ming cult. Look, that young man, suddenly? Someone exclaimed. A young man stood with his hands behind his back on the Divine Flame Ming cult's warship. His body was filled with terrifying fluctuations of the origin of fire. He was surrounded by 5 different types of divine flames. Its might was even stronger than the fire god Huang of the past. This person is the newly appointed first god of the Divine Fire Ming cult. His name is Lin Yan. He can actually control 5 types of divine fire. How amazing! It is said that this person was originally a servant, but after that he obtained a great opportunity, rise to power completely and gain the favor of the Divine Flame Ming cult. He had become the first divine son in a single leap, and his way of doing things was incomparably ruthless. Those who had humiliated him were burned by his divine fire for 10 days and 10 nights. 10 days and 10 nights? How is that possible? It's said that in order to prevent those people from dying midway, the number 1 divine child made a bunch of healing pills, burning on one side, treating on one side. It burned on and off for a full 10 days and 10 nights. What a pervert! Hush! Be quiet, don't let others hear you. The Divine Flame Ming cult's Lin Yan has appeared? There was another commotion in the crowd. And in the worship of the great Yuan God dynasty? Yuan Su seemed to sense something. He looked at Lin Yan. There was a strange look in his eyes. This aura, interesting? Looks like he's my competitor. Lin Yan seemed to sense it as well and looked at Yuan Su. Their gazes met, and their eyes were filled with intense hostility. Some people saw it. They could not help but feel puzzled. These 2 people know each other? That shouldn't be the case. One is the high and mighty crown prince. The other was once a servant. What kind of connection could they have? Everyone was puzzled. Only the people involved knew where this hostility came from. What's wrong, God? An elder of the Divine Fire Ming cult walked to Lin Yan's side and asked. I met a destined opponent. Lin Yan said indifferently. Hearing this, the elder's pupils constricted. Could it be the son of destiny? That Yuan Su is the son of destiny. Yes, he does have the aura of the immortal world will on him. Lin Yan said. At this moment, Lin Yan and Yuan Su seemed to have sensed something. Looking into the distance, they saw a small boat breaking through the waves on the surface of the sea, slowly moving towards them. 2 women stood on the skiff. One was wearing a palace dress and had a cold and refined aura. The other was wearing a red dress and held a long spear in her hand. She had a heroic aura and gave off the feeling that she was not inferior to men. Yuan Su and Lin Yan's eyes landed on the girl in red. This aura, she's also the son of destiny. Interesting. Another one is here. On the boat. Yan Honghua looked at the woman in palace attire and said with some dissatisfaction, I say, honorable master, look at everyone else. They all have warships, each one of them packed with extravagant ships. Look at us, we only have this small boat. I'm embarrassed. I'm sorry to trouble you. The girl in the palace dress smiled faintly. Forget it. Yan Honghua twitched her lips and didn't bother about it anymore. She glanced at the immortal seeds and a look of disappointment appeared in her eyes. I don't want to see the king. Is the king not here yet, or is he unwilling to come? She shook her head and stopped thinking about it. She looked at Yuan Su and Lin Yen and smiled at the girl in the palace dress. Master, I think I saw the Son of Destiny. Do you think I should act now? The girl in the palace dress said faintly. Hearing this, Yen Honghua no longer hesitated. She soared into the sky and held a long spear in her hand. Waves of violent origin energy spread out from her. Son of Destiny, do you dare to come out and fight? Her words caused Lin Yen and Yuan Su to frown. Is there something wrong with this girl's brain? She dares to expose her identity as the Son of Destiny so openly? Or does she have a powerful backer behind her? Regardless, the two of them didn't dare to act rashly. Are all Sons of Destiny cowards? Yen Honghua sneered. This girl, Lin Yen and Yuan Su raised their brows. Woman, you are playing with fire. Lin Yan's eyes were cold. Divine flames whizzed out from his body and turned into a ferocious beast that lunged at Yen Honghua. Facing the might of the divine flames, Yen Honghua neither retreated nor dodged. She stabbed out with her spear and easily shattered the divine flames. Following this, Lin Yen and Yen Honghua started fighting. The Son of Destiny's first battle. The two of them fought back and forth, neither giving way to the other. The strength of their battle had already reached the level of some powerful half-immortals. The crowd couldn't help but exclaim. Some of the immortal seeds even had a solemn expression. The Son of Destiny lives up to his name. This kind of combat strength is indeed not simple. Seeing that Lin Yen was unable to defeat Yen Honghua, one of the immortals from the Divine Flame Ming cult was anxious and wanted to help. But before he could move, an indescribable pressure enveloped his body, causing him to break out in cold sweat. This pressure, the immortal looked at the sea. On the boat, the girl in the palace dress was looking at him. Her eyes were as calm as water, but the immortal knew that if he made the slightest move, this girl would definitely kill him in an instant. What a powerful immortal! This was definitely the strongest existence in the Qinglan immortal world. Was she an immortal from the immortal ancient orthodoxy? Chapter 995. Yen Honghua's first battle was against Lin Yen, and both of them were equally matched. Moreover, with the celestial island in front of them, it would be unwise to reveal too many of their trump cards before they even started exploring. Yen Honghua was also aware of this, so she only wanted to test the strength of the Child of Destiny this time. After fighting for a while, Yen Honghua retreated. Humph, I'll let you off this time. Lin Yen snorted. Who will let who go? I don't know either. Yen Honghua sneered. After the two of them stopped fighting, another warship appeared not far away. On the warship were the students of the 100 Academies. Everyone could tell that this was the ship of the 100 Academies. For a moment, everyone's gaze turned solemn. Will that person come? Academy. I heard that that person has become a teacher in the academy. Now that Peng Lai has appeared, that person should also come. A man who defies the heavens and slays immortals. Everyone raised their heads in anticipation. The immortal seed's gazes turned solemn. Yen Honghua also looked at the Academy's warship expectantly. But when they looked at the people on the Academy's warship, they could not help but look disappointed. That person was not here. The people who came from the Academy this time are also extraordinary. There are 3 teachers leading them, and all 3 of them are immortals. There is also Gu Lufang and Gu Wuqing, the king of celestial seeds. As expected of an immortal ancient orthodoxy. Indeed, but I don't see that person. When that person isn't here, I feel like it has lost a lot of its luster. On the warship of Sword Burial Sea, the Saber King frowned as he slowly stood up. A domineering surge of saber intent emanated from his body as he stared at the crowd from the academy. Where's Chu Kuangren? There's no reason for him not to come to Penglai Island. Mr. 13 is currently in seclusion. Mr. 4th said calmly. Seclusion? The appearance of Penglai Island? But he was in seclusion. What kind of joke was this? Is he a coward? The Saber King's body emitted a gray sword resentment aura. His eyes gradually revealed a brutal look. Mr. First glanced at him and said faintly, I heard that there's an evil saber technique in the burial of swords C called the Three Sabers of Avicii? Was it the taboo of the buried sword C? From the looks of it, you must have cultivated this cultivation method. So what if I am? I cultivate the 3 blades of Avicii and forcefully absorb the sword resentment chi? To defeat Chu Kuangren, I don't care if he's really in closed-door meditation or not. Tell him to come out now. The tyrannical look in the Saber King's eyes became even more intense. Saber intents crisscrossed the surroundings as if there were countless sword-wielding evil spirits roaring. You want to fight against King Yi? It's funny. At this time, an indifferent voice sounded. He saw Yan Honghua holding a gun. He slowly walked over. Hear her voice? Lan Yu was pleasantly surprised. Honghua, it's really you. Lan Yu? Long time no see. Yan Honghua looked at Lan Yu and sensed that her aura was no weaker than her own. If he hadn't obtained the immortal world's will, if he became the son of destiny, he would probably be left far behind by the other party. Looks like you have a chance too. You're the same. Lan Yu laughed. Fellow countrymen meeting fellow countrymen? Both of them had a lot to say. The child of destiny? I don't mind killing you here and then snatching your heaven's will. The Saber King said coldly. Give it a try? Yan Honghua pointed her spear at him. Lan Yu stared coldly at the Saber King. You were defeated by our master in one move back then. You can only be so arrogant when our master isn't around. If our master is here, he can kill you with a single thought. The 2 ladies' auras circulated and their domineering auras emanated. Not bad? If our master is here, he can defeat you with a single thought. You think you're worthy of being our master's enemy? You're overestimating yourself. Gu Lufang, Gu Wuqing, and the others spoke one after another. The crowd could not help but be amazed. Every single one of them was a top-notch fairy seed cultivator. Some of them were even fairy seed kings, the children of destiny. However, every single one of them respected Chu Kuangren very much. This piqued the curiosity of countless cultivators who had never seen Chu Kuangren before. What kind of peerless figure was he? B** starred. The Saber King's eyes were filled with rage as he was being belittled by the crowd. The long saber at his waist was already trembling. Just when he could no longer control his emotions and was about to attack, someone came to his side and held him down. It was a black-robed middle-aged man with a determined look on his face. A steady saber intent emanated from his body like a huge mountain. Chu Kuangren is not here, and now is not the time to attack. Keep your emotions in check and don't let the sword resentment chi control you. The black-robed middle-aged man said. I understand, uncle. The Saber King took a deep breath and gradually calmed himself down. He snorted coldly and said no more. Meanwhile, the lady in the palace attire had arrived at the Academy's warship. Mr. First and the others were stunned when they saw her. A strong cultivator. A top-notch cultivator who was no weaker than the principal. Mr. First thought to himself. You are, greetings, everyone. I'm Gong Yu from the Jade Pure sect, and also Honghua's honorable teacher. Gong Yu smiled. Oh, a senior from the Jade Pure sect. My apologies. Mr. First cupped his hands in greeting. The Jade Pure Immortal School, like the 100 Clans Academy, originated from the immortal ancient era. Gong Yu was the current leader of the Jade Pure Immortal School. She usually lived in seclusion and was rarely seen by the world. As the immortal orthodoxies arrived one by one, everyone began to enter Penglai Island to explore. However, most of them acted independently. The only one who joined forces was seal off Penglai Island. No other cultivators are allowed to enter. Any non-immortal grade orthodoxies that dare to come within 1,000 miles of Penglai Island will be killed without mercy. Those weak ones don't get involved in this. All the major immortal orthodoxies joined forces and set up layers of restrictions around Penglai Island, isolating the rest of the cultivators outside. Some of the cultivators who were already exploring Penglai Island had no choice but to retreat due to the threat of the immortal orthodoxies. When the immortal ancient battlefield first appeared, It was difficult for the immortal orthodoxies to seal it off due to its huge size. Hence, many cultivators were allowed to explore. However, this time, the immortal orthodoxies had joined forces to seal off Penglai Island's shard. They would not allow anyone else to enter so easily. Although the rest of the cultivators complained, they could not do anything about it. It was their fault for not having any background or strength. TSK, how domineering. Yen Honghua said. This is the reality. Even the immortal ancient orthodoxies can't change it. Gong Yu smiled helplessly. Forget it. Let's go in and explore. All the orthodoxies continued to explore Penglai Island. Meanwhile, hundreds of millions of miles away, in the 100 Academy, in Chu Kuangren's residence, an endless amount of spiritual qi surged and gathered. Amidst the Taoist rhymes, the validation seal was formed. Not long after, the transformation dissipated. The door opened with a creak. The smell of alcohol gushed out, and a white-robed young man walked out along with it. This young man's eyes were misty and his handsome face was flushed red. He subconsciously called out, "Lan Yu, get me a basin of water." However, no one in the courtyard responded. It was even to the extent that the phenomenon of the Dharma verification seal didn't draw over a single figure. It seemed like such a phenomenon wasn't strange to the members of the academy. In fact, it was almost the same. Chu Kuangren had caused so many transformations that the academy's students and teachers were already numb to it. Isn't it just a few validation seals? What's there to be surprised about? Chapter 996. Lan Yu, get me a basin of water. Your master has a headache, Chu Kuangren called out again. He looked like he was suffering from a hangover. The divine enlightenment wine was too intoxicating. Although it allowed him to create his own immortal techniques and gain a lot of insights, even an immortal would be drunk to the point of being unconscious. Where is everyone? Chu Kuangren called out a few times but did not see anyone. He was a little confused. After a while, he slowly recovered from his hangover and washed his face with a basin of water. Where did everyone go? They went to Penglai Island. Xiao Ai's voice rang in his mind. What? Penglai Island, the rumored location of the Jie sect, the prime of Tongtian's execution ground. Chu Kuangren was stunned. This place has appeared. Chu Kuangren was a little surprised. Sigh, even the little fox has left, leaving me alone. How boring. Chu Kuangren sighed. Forget it, I'll draw some lottery to comfort myself. He had been drunk for the past few months and had not drawn any lottery. He hoped that the luck that he had accumulated over the past few months would explode. Chu Kuangren thought to himself and opened the fantasy roulette. Congratulations, host, you have drawn a God-tier Epiphany card. God-tier Epiphany card? He had drawn an Epiphany card before, but it was his first time drawing a God-tier Epiphany card. According to the introduction, the effect of this Epiphany card was more than 10 times that of the Divine Enlightenment wine, and the effect lasted for 3 days. 3 days, more than 10 times the effect of the Divine Enlightenment wine? Sounds good, but it's not too surprising. Speaking of which, I haven't drawn a supreme God-tier reward in a long time. Chu Kuangren pouted. He was not satisfied, but he was not too disappointed either. He kept the Epiphany card and decided to use it in the future. As for supreme God-tier rewards, he had only drawn them 4 times over the years. Even with the help of the lucky halo, the probability was still so low that he did not have much hope. Instead of relying on the fantasy roulette, I should think about how to obtain some opportunities of fortune from the outside world, such as Penglai Island. Chu Kuangren was also very interested in Penglai Island. Rumor had it that all Buddhas paid homage to it and all immortals paid homage to it. Sect Master Tonggun was a supreme expert among immortals who was not weaker than the Queen Mother of the West. What kind of fortuitous opportunities were hidden in his execution ground? Chu Kuangren was looking forward to it. Swoosh, ripples appeared in the void, and Chu Kuangren disappeared from where he stood. Billions of miles away. Penglai Island. The immortal orthodoxies worked together to seal the area, preventing other cultivators from entering. Domineering, too domineering. These immortal orthodoxies actually won't let us in. They actually forcibly occupied Penglai Island. This is truly too despicable. Bastard! The cultivators outside Penglai Island were furious. But looking at the cultivators from the immortal orthodoxies who had sealed off Penglai Island, they could do nothing but rage. At this moment, a stream of light suddenly arrived outside of Penglai Island. The light dissipated. A white-robed youth appeared in front of everyone. This young man was extremely handsome and his actions were extraordinary. He flew towards Penglai Island and encountered many restrictions along the way. He frowned and casually threw a punch. In an instant, the void exploded. Layers upon layers of restrictions were destroyed as easily as crushing dry weeds. The cultivators from the immortal orthodoxies sensed the commotion and rushed over, glaring at Chu Kuangren with hostility. How dare you destroy our restrictions? Do you have a death wish? The crowd yelled. However, Chu Kuangren remained calm and said, "These restrictions blocked my way, so I destroyed them. Is there a problem with that? Kid, looks like you're here to pick a fight." Just as the conflict was about to erupt, a cultivator stood out and yelled. He looked at Chu Kuangren with a serious expression. "Brother Chu, please go in." Chu Kuangren glanced at him before his figure flashed and disappeared. After he left, the remaining cultivators looked at each other. Most of them still did not know what was going on, but some of them had guessed something, and their eyes were filled with uncontrollable fear. Surname Chu. Could it be that person? Who? Idiot, there's only one person with the surname Chu in this world, and he's even a young immortal seed. Of course he's the most famous one. The immortal slaying Chu Kuangren. That's right, it's that immortal slaying Mr. 13 from the 100 Academy. Thank goodness we didn't fight just now. The cultivator who yelled at Chu Kuangren earlier was so scared that his face had turned pale. He had just taken a trip to the gates of hell. Phew. Thank goodness I came in time. Otherwise, he could have killed all of you with just one hand. The cultivator who rushed over said. I thought Chu Kuangren was in closed-door meditation and didn't come? Who knows? But since he's here, I'm afraid there's going to be more variables in this exploration of Penglai Island. Inside Penglai Island, there were countless restrictions on the island. Although most of them were broken, it was still not something an ordinary cultivator could withstand. Most of the cultivators who came to explore the island were very careful, not daring to touch the restrictions. Of course, the risk was high and the reward was high. There were countless opportunities of fortune on Penglai Island too. There were all kinds of supreme elixirs, rare treasures, and immortal techniques. This is amazing. This is just a fragment of Penglai Island. If it was the complete Penglai Island, how many opportunities of fortune would there be? Also, how powerful would the Jie school be at its peak? All the Buddhas pay their respects, and all the immortals pay their respects. It's not a groundless rumor after all. One of the cultivators who came to explore the island lamented. The people who came with him were also amazed. Suddenly, they heard the sound of fighting in front of them. They quickly rushed over and saw a group of people fighting over a treasure. It was a water droplet. The water droplet glowed brightly and intertwined with Taoist patterns. It was crystal clear. The surrounding cultivators were fighting over the water droplet. That's a drop of immortal dew. Tisk, immortal dew. It's an immortal dew that has absorbed the energy of an immortal. Judging from the energy fluctuations, this immortal dew is probably useful even to an immortal. Quick hurry up. The newly arrived cultivators also joined the battle. The originally chaotic battlefield became even more chaotic. Get lost. At that moment, an indifferent voice resounded. An old man in a green robe arrived, and a terrifying origin wave erupted. The cultivators who were fighting over it were immediately sent flying. He was a half-immortal. The half-immortal stretched out his hand to grab the immortal dew. But at that moment, a Buddhist light appeared, and a handsome young monk appeared in front of the half-immortal in a green robe. He punched out, and a terrifying golden Buddhist light erupted. The half-immortal of Green Mountain could not help but retreat dozens of feet. The little Arhat of Jinshan Temple. The half-immortal in a green robe looked at the person who came with a rather solemn expression. Benefactor, this item is fated with me. Can you give it to me? The little Arhat smiled faintly. The half-immortal in a green robe snorted coldly. As soon as he said that, a tyrannical and peerless pressure shrouded the little Arhat behind him, causing him to break out in a cold sweat. Looking behind the little Arhat, an old man in a golden-red kasaya was looking at him indifferently. His eyes were neither sad nor happy. It was as if he was looking at an ant. That was the immortal of Jinshan Temple. Chapter 997. The immortals of Buddhism were also known as Arhats. The green-robed half-immortal could clearly sense that the old monk in the golden-red kasaya was an Arhat. That kind of power was not something he could withstand. D***eminit. I can't believe I've encountered an Arhat. I'm no match for him. Retreat. The green-robed half-immortal took a deep breath and retreated. Seeing that, the old monk said, Amitba. Almsgiver, you're able to let go of your greed. You have great willpower. I'm impressed. The green-robed half-immortal almost vomited blood when he heard that. What do you mean by letting go of my greed? F***CKU? If not for the fact that I'm no match for you, I wouldn't have let go of my greed. However, the young monk ignored him. He looked at the immortal dew in front of him with a hint of joy in his eyes. He raised his hand and grabbed it. At that moment, an invisible wave spread, and the immortal dew seemed to be pulled by an invisible force towards a certain direction. The young monk's eyes turned cold. How dare you snatch something in front of me? He took a step forward, crossing the spatial distance to grab that drop of celestial nectar. However, in the next instant, a formless force exploded and sent him flying. So what else do you want? A cold, lazy voice was heard as the immortal dew flew into the hands of a white-robed young man. The young man looked at the immortal dew in his hand, opened his mouth, and swallowed the immortal dew right in front of everyone. This scene left everyone's jaws agape. After all, the immortal dew contained a huge amount of energy. Even an immortal seed king would have to be careful when absorbing it. However, this person in front of them just swallowed it like that. Was this guy out of his mind? Was he not afraid of exploding and dying? However, what surprised everyone was that the person in front of them did not seem to be injured at all. The immortal dew was no different from an ordinary drop of dew. After it was swallowed, there was no more movement. This puzzled the crowd. It's him! Suddenly, one of the cultivators exclaimed. The others also reacted. They couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air as they looked at the handsome young man in white robes before them. It was Chu Kuangren. He's here at the immortal Pange Island? F***CK, didn't they say he was in seclusion? No wonder he has the guts to rob Jinshan Temple. Everyone exclaimed in surprise. Even the junior Arhat could not help but reveal a hint of fear in his eyes. You're the Chu Kuangren who killed Hui Fe. Chu Kuangren was using his universal cauldron physique to absorb the immortal dew's energy and store it in every cell in his body. This was also one of the strengths of the heaven and earth furnace physique. As long as the energy wasn't too excessive, it could be stored. He had also heard Arhat's words. However, he was stunned for a moment. Huifa, who is that? Hearing his words, everyone's mouth twitched. Huifa was one of the 12 immortal seed kings. You killed him, but you don't have any impression of him? No matter what, it was still a king immortal seed. Humph, you're playing dumb. The Arhat coldly snorted. I remember now. Huifa, the monk who sent me the three-headed, six-armed resentful Buddha, right? Chu Kuangren said. Everyone was speechless. So in the eyes of others, Huifa was just a boy who gave away money? Speaking of the three-headed, six-armed resentful Buddha, it's an immortal weapon that the Jinshan Temple obtained after suppressing the demonic Buddha sect. Please return it. The junior Arhat said. What if I say no? Chu Kuangren laughed. Then don't blame me for being rude. The junior Arhat's eyes narrowed as a large amount of Buddhist light gushed out of his body. This Buddhist light intertwined on the surface of his body and dyed his body with a layer of golden paint, giving him a sense of solemnity and holiness. A terrifying might burst forth from the other party's body. Invincible golden body technique. The junior Arhat's expression was extremely serious. He put his hands together and a surge of golden strength swept in all directions with him as the center. Many immortal seeds were swept away by this force. This is the Golden Mountain Temple's invincible golden body technique. I heard that this is an immortal technique that even the little sage monk Wuxia failed to cultivate, but this junior Arhat succeeded. Looks like he's the strongest immortal seed hidden by the Golden Mountain Temple. The invincible golden body technique is said to be indestructible and indestructible. With unparalleled offensive and defensive capabilities, it can be said to be the strongest immortal technique of the Golden Mountain Temple. Even Chu Kuangren would have trouble with it. Tisk tsk, I've only heard of this immortal technique in rumors. Looks like I'll have a chance to see its power today. The immortal seeds looked at the junior Arhat in amazement. The junior Arhat also knew that Chu Kuangren's strength was extraordinary, so after fully activating the invincible golden body technique, he took out an immortal-grade exorcism pestle and flew towards Chu Kuangren. Let this little monk see how strong you are when you defy the heavens and slay immortals. The junior Arhat let out a low roar and smashed the pestle towards Chu Kuangren. The terrifying Buddhist light contained within it was enough to shatter a star. However, Chu Kuangren stood his ground and casually punched out. His fist was surrounded by an unknown amount of origin energy, and everyone could only see a bright immortal glow. Then, there was a cracking sound, as if something had broken. Everyone looked over and saw that the intertwining Taoist patterns on the junior Arhat's golden body had collapsed and shattered under Chu Kuangren's punch. With a loud bang, the junior Arhat, who was stronger than Wuxia, turned into a cloud of blood mist and exploded. The exorcism pestle fell to the ground and its light dimmed. Amidst the rain of blood, Chu Kuangren let out a soft sigh and said with some annoyance, I used too much strength. Silence. The immortal seeds were a little confused. Did he have to be so fierce? One punch. A king immortal seed who was walking on the path of immortalhood had exploded. What kind of power was that? The green-robed half-immortal swallowed his saliva with a face full of horror. He felt that he would probably end up the same if he were to face that punch. How strong is this person? Just when everyone was in shock, a wave of immortal essence suddenly erupted. They saw the Golden Mountain Temple's Arhat looking at Chu Kuangren with a gloomy face. His eyes were filled with uncontrollable anger and regret. He initially thought that with the junior Arhat's strength, even if he was no match for Chu Kuangren, he would not be easily killed. With him around, if anything happened, he could save him in time. However, he did not expect. It was an instant kill. The junior Arhat was killed the moment he made a move. Even if he wanted to save him, it was too late. If he knew this would happen, he would have stopped the junior Arhat. That was the only king immortal seed left in the Golden Mountain Temple. Chu Kuangren. First you killed Wuxia, then you killed the junior Arhat. You and the Golden Mountain Temple are irreconcilable. The old monk said coldly. He took a step forward and a terrifying wave of immortal essence continued to spread. The surrounding immortal seeds quickly retreated. They could not withstand the anger of an immortal, even if it was just the aftermath. Chu Kuangren, on the other hand, stood in place with an indifferent expression. He chuckled and said, "Then may I ask, was it me who wanted to kill first? If a monk does not cultivate good karma, who can be blamed for his death? And you're already an Arhat but still so angry. I don't mind sending you to meet the Buddha." Chapter 998. I don't mind sending you to meet the Buddha as well. Chu Kuangren said. As soon as he said that, surges of origin energy surged out of his body and surrounded him. His celestial aura shone brightly, making him look like a supreme immortal king. The powerful origin energy made the old monk wary. However, as an Arhat, he was confident that he could defeat Chu Kuangren. Rumor has it that you've defied the heavens and killed immortals, but you only defeated a half-crippled lower-tier immortal. Don't you dare compare me to the flaming sun immortal. Besides, the sword crown is not with you right now. How are you going to defeat me? Chu Kuangren, go to hell. The old monk said coldly. He raised his hand and grabbed the exorcism scepter in the air. Then, he struck it out and a dazzling golden Buddhist light broke through the air and flew towards Chu Kuangren. The powerful immortal core energy enveloped Chu Kuangren. Heh, is that all you've got? Chu Kuangren focused his sword fingers and surges of origin energy gathered at his fingertips. The 1,000 lotus sword intent erupted, and wherever the sword ray passed, lotuses would form in the air. Boom! The sword ray and Buddhist light collided. The void exploded. However, the sword light was like a hot knife through butter. It shattered the Buddhist light and slashed towards the old monk. Its sharpness made the spectators feel as if their bodies were about to be torn apart. All of them could not help but be shocked and their hearts palpitated. The old monk's eyes narrowed. What? He waved his demon-subduing pestle and shot out another ray of Buddhist light. Only then did he manage to shatter the sword light. However, he did not feel happy at all. On the contrary, his heart was filled with extreme fear. A casual sword ray could shatter his Buddhist light. What kind of power was that? Immortal. And it was not even a lower-tier immortal. It was at least comparable to a middle-tier immortal. Chu Kuangren had yet to embark on the immortal path, but he already had the combat strength of a middle-tier immortal. How was this possible? The old monk was extremely shocked. However, Chu Kuangren did not give him time to be shocked. He focused his sword fingers and unleashed the 1,000 lotus sword intent. Rays of purple light blossomed in the void and dispersed into countless petals. Each petal was a cold sword ray. The countless petals were countless sword rays that intertwined in the void, forming an inescapable net that covered the old monk. Heaven-weaving sword chi. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. The old monk let out a long roar and pushed the celestial essence in his body to the extreme. Buddha light enveloped him completely and turned into a Buddha image. This Dharma idol was solemn and sacred. Vast Buddhist light swept through the world, crazily attacking the inescapable net of sword chi. But even so, the Buddha avatar was still inevitably torn apart by the sword chi before shattering into countless specks of light. If this goes on, will I die? Oh no. How can I die here? The old monk spat out a mouthful of golden blood essence onto the staff in his hand, then threw it away with a furious roar. The demon-subduing pestle that was stained with the Arhat's blood essence blossomed with a resplendent brilliance and burst forth with an extremely powerful might, tearing a hole in the sword chi. The old monk took the opportunity to rush out. As for the demon-vanquishing pestle, he threw it away right away. It was obvious how much pressure Chu Kuangren had placed on him. Now, the only thought left in his mind was to escape. The old monk turned into a stream of light and flew into the distance. How fast can an Arhat run away with all his might? In the blink of an eye, he had traveled millions of miles. He had even escaped into the void. However, even though he was desperately trying to escape, a white figure suddenly appeared in front of him. It was Chu Kuangren. This is not the way to the Western paradise. Chu Kuangren said calmly. He had the spatial conveyance technique. Wherever his immortal consciousness could reach, that was where he could move. In terms of speed, few in this world could catch up to him. Even immortals were no exception. Chu Kuangren. Forgive and forget. Do you really want to fight to the death with the Golden Hill Temple? What good will that do to you? The old monk said with a panicked expression. I want to kill you. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. All I want is for my mind to be clear. Chu Kuangren said calmly. He focused his sword fingers and surges of origin energy poured out. Seal after seal of testimony floated above his head. How is this possible? The old monk's pupils shrunk to the size of a needle. Hundreds of quintessence energies and a few dozen seal of verification. What exactly is going on? What kind of cultivation monster was this person? The old monk swore that the scene before him was the most unbelievable thing he had ever seen in his life. Not only him, but the other cultivators who witnessed the scene were also dumbfounded. It was as if their worldview had collapsed. At that moment, Chu Kuangren had already made his move. He swung his sword fingers. The Thousand Lotus Sword intent that was buffed by both Origin Energy and Seal of Testimony erupted. A dazzling purple sword ray whizzed out. Wherever it passed, the void collapsed. Under such a sword ray, the old monk was effortlessly destroyed by the sword chi. His immortal body and immortal soul turned into ashes. He's dead, dead. Chu Kuangren has defied the heavens and killed an immortal again. He's not killing a broken immortal. He's killing a real immortal at his peak. He really has the ability to kill immortals. Monster! After killing the old monk, Chu Kuangren ignored the others and kept the exorcism pestle on the ground. It was an immortal weapon after all. Although he could not use it, it was still a good thing to exchange for immortal spirit marrows. There were many opportunities of fortune on Penglai Island. On that day, a cultivator from an immortal orthodoxy coincidentally broke the seal of a cave abode. Suddenly, a terrifying wave of energy spread across the entire Penglai Island. A crimson dragon shadow appeared in the sky, shaking the universe. When the dragon shadow dissipated, all the cultivators who came to explore the island sensed it and looked in the direction of the dragon shadow. Their eyes lit up. This energy wave, is it an immortal weapon? What a powerful immortal weapon wave. Let's go take a look. This kind of immortal weapon wave, could it be a top-notch immortal weapon? No, I'm afraid it's more than that. It's a true immortal weapon. There's a true immortal weapon hidden in this Penglai Island fragment? Oh my god, I can't miss this opportunity of fortune. In the Green Orchid Immortal realm, an immortal weapon is already a rare treasure, let alone a true immortal weapon. All the cultivators rushed to where the dragon shadow was. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a young man in a crimson robe looked into the distance with a glint in his eyes. This feeling, it's a summon from the bloodline. Could that immortal weapon be related to the dragon tribe? The young man and an old man behind him moved immediately at the location of the immortal weapon. One by one, the cultivators arrived. The cave abode where the immortal weapon was kept had already been blown up. A crimson rope was wrapped around a stone pillar in the cave abode. Treasure light flowed on it, and Tao patterns intertwined. Waves of incomparably powerful and mysterious immortal weapon waves spread out. That's the immortal weapon. A rope. What kind of immortal weapon is that? The cultivators from the various orthodoxies arrived one by one. Gong Yu from the Yuqing immortal sect arrived as well. She looked at the rope in surprise. Could this be the legendary dragon taming rope? Mr. First of the Academy also clicked his tongue in wonder. The dragon taming rope is rumored to be a treasure used by a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal of the Jie School. Its level is far beyond that of a genuine immortal artifact. This dragon taming rope should be just an imitation. Although it's an imitation, its power is still extraordinary. Chapter 999. With the appearance of the replica dragon taming rope, countless cultivators came one after another. Everyone looked at the immortal weapon with a fiery gaze. A perfected immortal artifact was too rare in the Qinglan immortal world, and it was sufficient to cause immortals to fight for it and cause wars between orthodoxies. Roar! A dragon roar rang out, and two crimson dragon shadows soared into the sky, turning into an old man and a young man. Everyone's eyes were filled with fear when they saw this. They're from the Divine Dragon Island. That's the young master of the Scarlet Dragon bloodline. It is rumored that although Divine Dragon Island's 5 attribute young masters don't enter the world, they are all kings of immortal seeds. I think this person is the same. The Dragon Clan has come to fight for the immortal artifact as well. When the Crimson Dragon young master arrived at the scene and saw the dragon binding rope, his eyes burned with passion. Dragon tendon. Furthermore, this is a true immortal level tendon, and it's a pure-blooded true dragon at that. Even the red-haired dragon immortal behind him couldn't sit still. One should know that most of the dragons in the Qinglan immortal world were not pure-blooded. The true dragon bloodline was thin. The dragon tendon of a pure-blooded true dragon was of great significance to them. It was even more important than a perfected immortal weapon. If I can obtain this dragon tendon and refine it, Then not only will I be able to obtain a true celestial artifact, but I can also purify my bloodline. That dragon tendon is mine to increase my cultivation talent." The scarlet dragon young master said with a fiery gaze. The crimson-haired dragon immortal looked warily at the other immortals and said, "This dragon tendon is of great significance to the dragon clan. Please, everyone, take a step back and let us have it." Hearing this, everyone looked at each other. The influence of the dragon race was huge. If it were any other ordinary immortal weapon, they would have given it to the other party if they wanted it. However, this dragon-binding rope was a true immortal weapon. It was uncertain whether they could find a second perfected immortal weapon in the Qinglan immortal world. How could they just give it up like that? Even if they were from the dragon race, they weren't useless either. "Long Xian, this dragon-binding rope is very valuable. I'm afraid you won't be able to monopolize it just because you said so," an immortal said indifferently. That's right. Although the dragon clan is powerful, it's impossible for them to fend off so many of our orthodoxies by themselves. I can't just give this immortal item to you. The others had the same idea. The scarlet-haired dragon immortal's eyes flashed coldly, but he also knew that it was not wise to start a conflict with so many immortals. "And she's here too." The red-haired dragon immortal looked at Gong Yu. The person who stood at the peak of the Qinglan immortal world. "Let me make a suggestion." At this moment, Gong Yu spoke. As soon as she spoke, everyone looked at her. As the sect master of the Yuqing immortal sect, one of the few people at the peak of the Qinglan immortal world, she was the leader of the Yuqing immortal sect. She was definitely the strongest among the immortals present. Everyone wants this immortal item, but if immortals fight, it'll be hard to avoid the repercussions. Why don't we have the immortal seeds of our sects spar with each other, and then use the seeds to decide who gets the immortal item? Gong Yu said lightly. Her words caused everyone to sink into silence. Indeed, if a battle were to erupt between so many immortals here, then it would definitely affect a great number of people. No matter how many died, it would be a heavy blow to their sections. Letting the immortal seeds fight was not a bad idea. To a certain extent, the immortal seeds also represented the heritage of each sect. If the immortal seeds were to lose, then the immortals of the sect would not be in a good position to fight. Alright, that's fine. Then we'll do as Immortal Gong Yu suggested. Then let's see whose immortal seeds can suppress the crowd. Immortal Gong Yu smiled faintly. Then she raised her hand and gathered the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, mountains and rivers. In the void, a large amount of immortal light filled the air, and a golden arena appeared out of thin air. It was filled with all kinds of prohibition spells. The immortals felt that even if they attacked with all their strength, it would be difficult to shake the arena that Gong Yu had created. When everyone saw this, they couldn't help but be amazed and secretly praised. Is this the peak existence of the Qinglan immortal world? This method is indeed extraordinary. Gathering the spiritual energy of the immortal world, this is the method of an earth immortal. Judging from the scale of the spiritual energy, Gong Yu has already reached the peak of the earth immortal level, and even stepped into the heaven immortal level. Heaven immortals are the only heaven immortals. In the entire Qinglan immortal world, only the dean of the college, the sovereign of the demon court, and a few others might be heaven immortals. Could Gong Yu be a heaven immortal? Gong Yu's casual display of power was enough to shock the immortals. Their eyes were filled with fear, and they were even more willing to let the immortal seeds participate in the battle. If the immortals were to fight, who would be Gong Yu's opponent? Instead of fighting an immortal battle that they had no confidence in, it was better to let the immortal seeds fight. Perhaps there would be a chance of obtaining the immortal weapon. Those who want to obtain the immortal weapon, come up to this arena and try. The last one standing on this arena will obtain the dragon taming rope. Gong Yu smiled faintly. As soon as she finished speaking, Yan Honghua, who was next to her, took a step forward and leaped onto the arena. She scanned the audience. Who's up? What an impatient person. Gong Yu shook her head helplessly. I'll test the ability of the Son of Destiny. An indifferent voice was heard. A beam of light flew out and landed on the arena. It was Duguyu from Linghuang Mountain. He was also a king of immortal seeds and specialized in swordsmanship. Come. Yan Honghua smiled faintly. The two of them exchanged blows in an instant. A spear, a sword. The two weapons collided in the void, each shining brilliantly. Bang, bang, bang. Shockwaves continuously exploded in the void. Lan Yu, who was not far away, was surprised. Honghua's strength is improving very quickly. Is this the power of the Son of Destiny? She secretly compared herself to Yan Honghua. Although she would not lose, it would not be easy for her to win. After a fierce battle, Duguyu was hit in the shoulder by a spear and was sent flying. His shoulder was bleeding profusely. I lost. Duguyu shook his head and retreated from the arena. The people from Linghuang Mountain were enraged. The Son of Destiny. Let me have a go. A dragon's roar resounded. The young master of the Red Dragon tribe came to the arena. His domineering dragon's might swept out like a tsunami, crushing the heaven and earth. Yan Honghua's eyes were solemn. Oh, come on then. Why don't you count me in? At that moment, Lin Yen from the Divine Fire cult could not sit still anymore. He leaped onto the arena and divine fire surrounded him. It's too troublesome to fight one by one. I think this arena is big enough. Why don't we pick our opponents and fight them together? Yuan Su's figure flashed and he also came to the arena. An extremely powerful and domineering wave of origin energy flowed out. It was not inferior to the dragon's might of the young master of the Red Dragon tribe. That's what I was thinking. The Saber King also came to the arena. With a long saber in hand, the sword resentment chi was boiling. Gu Wuqing and Gu Lufang also made their moves. A chaotic battle between celestial seeds seemed to be unavoidable. At that moment, ripples appeared in the void. A leg came out of the void and landed on the arena. It was accompanied by a horrifying pressure that swept out from the void like an endless gale. Everyone's pupils shrank as they looked at the void. They saw a figure in white walking out of the void. That person was handsome and had a disdainful look in his eyes. The immortal seeds have gathered and the ownership of the immortal weapons will be decided in one battle. How can I miss out on this? Why don't you all come together? Chapter 1000. Why don't all of you come at me together? A white-robed figure walked out of the void. His arrogant words shocked everyone at the scene. When the crowd saw him, they were either shocked or surprised, but no one doubted his words or his abilities. That was because the person in front of them was the immortal slaying. Chu Kuangren. King. Yan Honghua looked at Chu Kuangren with joy. Chu Kuangren noticed her too. He was a little surprised, but now was not the time to reminisce, so he just smiled and nodded. Then he looked at the other immortal seeds calmly. The other celestial seeds were also looking at him, their gazes filled with fear. Chu Kuangren is here. I didn't expect this. D***. Now that he's here, what should we do? Even the immortals' expressions changed. Initially, they let the immortal seeds fight because they felt that the immortal seeds' strengths were similar, and they all had a chance of getting the immortal weapons. But now Chu Kuangren had appeared, an extraordinary immortal-slaying immortal seed. How were they supposed to compete against such an immortal seed? Chu Kuangren, you're finally here. A cold voice was heard. The Saber King looked at Chu Kuangren, the sword resentment chi on his body boiling, and the long saber in his hand let out a saber hum. Or, you're the Saber King? Heh. Looks like you've improved quite a bit. Chu Kuangren curiously looked at the Saber King before him. He activated the spirit of omniscience and analyzed his opponent's information. The humiliation you gave me last time, I will return it to you today. The Saber King said coldly. The sword resentment chi on his body circulated to its limit, and he suddenly slashed at Chu Kuangren. Wherever the saber ray passed, the void seemed to be filled with ghostly wails. However, Chu Kuangren stood still and did not move. When the saber ray got close to him, it was disintegrated by an invisible force. It could not even touch the corner of his clothes. What? The Saber King's eyes narrowed. The origin energy within his body surged again, and the sword resentment chi shot into the sky. It turned from a sword into a saber and turned into a giant saber shadow. A shrill sword hum tore through the sky. Avicii 3 Saber, 1000 Ghost Eradication. The giant saber shadow slashed down. In the void of space, countless phantoms of wraiths appeared one after another. The power of that attack had already reached the level of a top-notch half-immortal, but Chu Kuangren was still unfazed by it. Without using any techniques, he simply waved his sleeves and easily shattered that terrifying saber shadow. Impossible! At that moment, even the Sword Burial Seas immortals could no longer sit still. They stared at Chu Kuangren with their eyes wide open in disbelief. The Saber King was also stunned. However, in the next instant, Chu Kuangren appeared in front of him. "Is this the extent of your progress?" His indifferent voice and calm eyes made it seem as if he was facing an insignificant ant, unable to cause the slightest fluctuation in his emotions. "Oh no. It's impossible for him to be this strong." The Saber King roared inwardly. He raised his long saber and once again swung it at Chu Kuangren with all his might. Avicii Dao's 3 blades, all things perish. As the blade slashed down, a bone-chilling coldness gushed out from the blade, causing all the immortal seeds present to shudder. Clang! The saber was blocked in midair. However, the thing that blocked the attack was a finger. It was a slender finger that was as fair as jade. It was glowing with an immortal radiance as it stopped the blade. The blade that could annihilate all things was unable to harm the finger at all, much less move it in the slightest. Gulp! The immortal seeds could not help but gulp. It was too terrifying. What kind of terrifying strength was that? No, this is impossible. The Saber King's eyes were filled with madness, brutality, and a deep sense of shock. He waved the saber in his hand like a madman. One after another, he slashed at Chu Kuangren. However, all of them were blocked by a single finger. "Looks like this is all you've got," Chu Kuangren said calmly. Then he made his move. This was the first time he took the initiative to attack since he appeared in the arena. He focused his sword finger and pointed it forward. That finger attack was nothing special. However, there was no way to avoid it. That finger attack tore through the saber net like it was nothing. It then landed on the Saber King's chest and sent him flying. One finger attack defeated the Saber King. That did not even count as a technique. To it, Sword Burial Sea technique, so that's all there is to it. Chu Kuangren stood with his hands behind his back and said indifferently. His gaze swept across the crowd, and the aura on his body swept out like a raging wave, wave after wave, crashing into the entire arena. The immortal seeds looked extremely serious. So this is the legendary Chu Kuangren. He's really powerful. This aura is not to be underestimated. Even children of destiny like Ling Yen Yuan Su, and celestial seed rulers like the Crimson Dragon Young Master found it extremely difficult to deal with. "Let's attack together," one of the immortal seeds suddenly said. That person was also one of the 12 celestial seed rulers. He was usually arrogant, but now he suggested that they join forces. "Let's attack together. This person's strength is too strong. Only by joining forces will we have a chance to defeat him." The immortal seed's eyes were filled with determination. "That's right. If we don't defeat him, the immortal weapon will not be ours. Only by defeating him can we fight for the immortal weapon." The immortal seeds looked at each other and made a decision. Yen Honghua initially wanted to help Chu Kuangren, but Lan Yu stopped her and said with a smile, "Master, you alone are enough." She did not know how strong Chu Kuangren was. However, the tip of the iceberg that he had shown during their interactions was already far beyond her reach. Even if the immortal seeds joined forces, they would not be a match for him. "Chu Kuangren, today, I'll let you have a taste of defeat." The domineering origin energy on Yuan Su's body was activated to its limit, and a long sword with immortal radiance appeared in his hand. With the sword in hand, his domineering aura was enhanced. The Crimson Dragon Young Master's body was surrounded by flames, and his scales were faintly discernible. His origin energy poured out like lava, and it was terrifying. "This dragon tendon is mine today." In order to purify his bloodline, the Crimson Dragon young master was determined to get his hands on the dragon-taming rope. I heard that you've defeated Huashen Huang, but don't you dare compare me to him. I'm a child of destiny. Lin Yan shouted coldly. Many types of divine flames revolved around his body. The rest of the immortal seed's auras were also activated to their limits. Even a true immortal would be defeated and killed by the group of top-notch immortal seeds in the Azure Orchid Immortal realm. However, Chu Kuangren remained calm and arrogant. You may be standing at the peak of the immortal seeds, and you may even have the ability to fight beyond your cultivation, but Chu Kuangren, as he took a step forward, surges of origin energy seeped out of his body. His immortal radiance shone brightly, and his terrifying aura swept across the void. It was as if an immortal king had descended upon the world. Only once throughout the ages, one man shall reign supreme throughout the ages. Chapter 1001. Once in a lifetime, one man shall reign supreme over the ages. His arrogant words reverberated through the clouds, shocking everyone. All the cultivators stared at the white-robed figure as if they were looking at an immortal king who had shocked the past and present. Their gazes were somewhat dull. Even the immortals were shocked. He really is an anomaly. Gong Yu could not help but shake her head. One man shall reign supreme over the ages. Chu Kuangren's strength and boldness are indeed rare. This person is not a child of destiny, but his boldness and strength are even more amazing than a child of destiny. He really is an anomaly. The immortals looked at Chu Kuangren and secretly praised him. Meanwhile, on the stage, the immortal seeds looked at Chu Kuangren, who was so majestic and domineering that they had never seen before. Without further ado, the immortal seeds attacked. The first to strike was the crown prince of the great Yuan God dynasty, Yuan Su. He slashed out with the sword in his hand, and origin energy surged out. It seemed to have transformed into a magnificent army that shook the world with a brilliant might. The strength of a child of destiny was naturally extraordinary. Not to mention that Yuan Su was a reincarnated immortal. The strength of that sword attack was at the level of a top-notch half-immortal, or even close to the level of an immortal. However, Chu Kuangren remained unmoved as he slashed the void with his sword finger. The sword attack that was like a magnificent army could not shake Kuangren of eternity. One sword attack broke through the army. Come, show me what you've got. With one hand behind his back, Chu Kuangren pointed his sword at the ground with his other hand. His stance was indomitable as he looked down on the world. Go. Divine Flame Dao, incinerate the heavens and earth. Lin Yan attacked, and the power of several divine flames swept out. Each of them contained enough power to kill a false immortal. On the other side, the Crimson Dragon young master also activated the origin energy within his body. With a palm attack, the Crimson Dragon shadow charged towards Chu Kuangren with a terrifying flame that was not much weaker than the divine flames. The divine flames and dragon shadows attacked Chu Kuangren from both sides. Chu Kuangren chuckled and swiped his sword finger in the air. A purple sword ray shot out from the tip of his finger and split into two in the air, blasting the divine flames and the dragon silhouettes into smithereens. The sword ray's power did not decrease as it continued towards Yuan Su and Lin Yan. Boom! Bang! With two explosions, the two children of destiny were pushed back 100 meters. So powerful. No matter how strong a person is, there should be a limit. Continue. After the attacks of the two children of destiny failed, the attacks of the other immortal seeds arrived. All sorts of powerful immortal spells were unleashed. Blue Sea Art. Boundless Buddha Light. 1,000-Year Howling Blade. Saber techniques, sword techniques, palm chi, fist raise, and all sorts of other techniques that were imbued with dazzling celestial radiance were launched towards Chu Kuangren. Even immortals would find it hard to defend against such violent energy. However, Chu Kuangren merely chuckled. He did not seem to care at all as he focused his sword fingers. In the void, sword rays condensed and blossomed into purple lotuses. The purple lotus soared into the sky. Thousands of immortal technique attacks bombarded it, causing the void to explode in succession. Terrifying waves of air surged and swept out for thousands of miles. Did it work? Stop joking around. He's Chu Kuangren we're talking about. He won't be defeated that easily. Continue preparing to attack. An immortal seed said loudly. Everyone's eyes narrowed when they heard this. That was right. They were now facing the immortal-defying Kuangren of all ages. How could he be defeated so easily? Suddenly, a burst of Emperor's chi gushed out and dispersed the dust. A white-robed figure then appeared. However, Chu Kuangren was still standing proudly on the spot. His white robe was spotless and he was unscathed. Everyone's eyes widened when they saw that. They knew that they would not be able to defeat Chu Kuangren in this round of attacks, but he was unscathed. Was this not too much? Were they really immortal seeds? Even real immortals would not be this insane. I suddenly feel like this is a very unfair battle. At that moment, Chu Kuangren suddenly spoke. He looked at the crowd and said, "It's too much for you to defeat or injure me." Everyone's expression darkened. What did he mean? Was he looking down on them? Was he going to mock them now? How about this one step? Chu Kuangren raised a finger and said, "If you can make me move one step, I'll consider it your win. I don't want this immortal weapon anymore." He stomped his foot on the arena, and the immense force caused the arena to tremble. His foot sank a foot into the ground, forming a footprint. Everyone understood what Chu Kuangren meant. If they could make him move away from that footprint, they would consider it his loss. The crowd fell silent. In the next moment, an indescribable rage burned in their hearts, causing their eyes to turn bloodshot, and they were enraged. "Are you kidding me? We'll win if you move one step. Chu Kuangren, you're too arrogant. Not only will we make you move, but we'll also defeat you." D***, what do you think we are? The immortal seeds were furious. Especially the rulers of the immortal seeds. Their faces were flushed red, and they glared at Chu Kuangren as if they were about to spit fire. The immortal seeds were proud, especially the rulers of the immortal seeds. Chu Kuangren's words were undoubtedly an insult to them, an insult that they had never experienced before. No matter how much they looked down on others, there should be a limit, right? What was this? Did he really think that they were a bunch of ants? Gu Wuqing and Gu Lufeng, who were not far away, could not help but feel fearful in the face of the immortal seed's wrath. A group of angry top-notch immortal seeds was terrifying. They could even unleash combat strength that exceeded their current cultivation level. "Mr. Chu, you're too bold." "Actually, I'm a little angry too." Gu Lufeng scratched his head and said, Chu Kuangren had caused even his own people to lose their composure. One could only imagine how furious the immortal seeds were when they faced Chu Kuangren. However, Chu Kuangren, the culprit of all this, did not care at all. He hooked his finger at the crowd and said, "Come." It was a frivolous gesture and a casual tone. That one word completely ignited the immortal seed's anger. "Chu Kuangren, I'll make you regret this. Go. Use everything you've learned to defeat him." At that moment, all the immortal seeds let go of their grudges and worked together like never before, just to defeat Chu Kuangren in front of them. The immortal seeds wielded their weapons and used everything they had learned to attack Chu Kuangren without holding back. Dazzling immortal technique lights, powerful origin energy fluctuations, and even immortal weapons were used. The immortal seeds used everything they had. Sneak attacks, frontal attacks, luring the enemy, bewitching illusions, joint attacks, poison. The immortal seeds used almost every method they could think of. But it was useless. Chu Kuangren stood on the ground and moved his sword fingers. Every move he made was exquisite, and every move he made was filled with invincible divine power. Water and fire could not enter his body, and swords could not touch him. All kinds of origin energy were blocked by his thousand lotus sword intent. As for illusory attacks, they were like mayflies trying to shake a tree. They could not shake his Taoist core and soul at all. Flawless. He's perfect. Flawless. The immortals outside the arena were shocked to see Chu Kuangren easily neutralize all kinds of attacks with just a wave of his hand. Is he playing? If he wants to defeat everyone, he can do it effortlessly. He's playing. He wants to see what kind of power the immortal seeds, especially the kings and children of destiny, can unleash. Gong Yu took a deep breath and said calmly. The immortals were shocked. How can there be such immortal seeds? Everyone couldn't help but have this question in their hearts. Chapter 1002. Far away in the void. Chu Kuangren had a strange expression on his face when he sensed the yin and evil qi coming from the Golden Mountain Temple. Oh, this energy. Did I miss something just now? Interesting. He pondered for a while but did not turn back. He was about to reach the Divine Flame Church. As for that yin and evil thing, he could just kill it if he encountered it in the future. It was not a big deal. At this moment, in the Divine Flame Church, the Divine Flame Church's leader had already learned about Chu Kuangren's destruction of the Sage City and the Golden Mountain Temple. He looked worried. If I knew Chu Kuangren was this strong, I wouldn't have provoked him in the first place. Now, I'm in big trouble. The Divine Flame Church's leader said bitterly. In front of him, Ling Yan took a deep breath with a face full of dissatisfaction. Ever since he returned from Penglai Island, he had been cultivating hard, wanting to catch up to Chu Kuangren. However, before he could improve much, he heard about Chu Kuangren destroying the allied army of the Great Orthodoxies. While he was shocked, he was also extremely dissatisfied. He was the chosen one. He had the immortal realm's will and cultivated the divine flame Tao, yet he was always overshadowed by Chu Kuangren. Now, whenever the word Sky Pride was mentioned, the first person that came to mind was Chu Kuangren. As for him and the others, they were nothing more than foils. Lin Yan, take this with you. At that moment, the Divine Flame Church's leader took out a three-legged bronze cauldron. The bronze cauldron was ancient, and it was engraved with mysterious runes that gave off an unfathomable feeling. What is this? For some reason, Ling Yan felt a sense of resonance when he saw the cauldron. It was as if this item belonged to him. This is an item that has been passed down from generation to generation in the Divine Flame Church. Rumor has it that this item contains some kind of secret. Unfortunately, none of the previous leaders of the Divine Flame Church have been able to uncover this secret. Now, I shall hand this item over to you. Leave the Divine Flame Church immediately. If you can uncover the secret within this cauldron, you may have a chance to defeat Chu Kuangren and rebuild the Divine Flame Church. Upon hearing that, Ling Yan took the bronze cauldron with a determined look in his eyes. Don't worry, leader. As the chosen one, I, Ling Yan, am blessed with great fortune. One day, I will avenge all of you. After saying that, he turned around and left without looking back. Chu Kuangren, just you wait. I, Lin Yan, am not weaker than you. The Divine Flame Sect Master shook his head as he watched Lin Yan leave. He wasn't really hoping that Lin Yan could rebuild the Divine Flame Sect. He could tell that Lin Yan was a heartless person. It was impossible for him to have any feelings for the Divine Flame Ming cult. The reason why Chu Kuangren allowed him to leave with the copper cauldron was very simple. He hoped that he would cause trouble for Chu Kuangren in the future. Chu Kuangren, oh Chu Kuangren, the battle of the heavenly will is not over yet. The battle between you, the anomaly, and the Son of Destiny has just begun. Will you have the last laugh? The Divine Flame cult leader murmured. Suddenly, an extremely terrifying pressure erupted from outside the Divine Flame Ming cult. It covered the sky and earth and swept in all directions. The Divine Flame cult master's expression changed. They're here. Divine Flame, Ming cult's headquarters. Countless cultivators gathered and stared at the white-robed figure that walked out from the void. Their eyes were filled with uncontrollable fear. Coming. Chu Kuangren is here. Swoosh, a ray of fire that contained immortal primary energy swept out from the headquarters and arrived before Chu Kuangren in the blink of an eye. Chu Kuangren narrowed his eyes, focused his sword finger, and slashed at the ray of fire. With a bang, sparks flew everywhere. A person walked out from the ray of fire. It was the Divine Flame cult master. His cultivation level was the same as Qi Guang's. Both of them were in the 9th grade immortal realm. Chu Kuangren, if you want to destroy the Divine Flame Ming cult, You'll have to step over my dead body first. The Divine Flame Cult Master said coldly. He clenched his fist and punched at a mountain in the distance. The mountain suddenly exploded, and golden flames soared into the sky, burning like a torch. Between the heavens and the earth, a large amount of flames surged wildly. Ignite my divine flame, fight! The Divine Flame Cult Master let out a long roar as the surrounding flames surged towards him and entered his body, causing his aura to skyrocket. Looks like this is your trump card, Chu Kuangren said calmly. With a wave of his sleeve, a light purple guqin appeared before him. It was the immortal weapon, the 9 Firmament Ring. Let the 8 celestial demonic cords be your funeral. Bring it on. The Divine Flame Cult Master snorted. Boom. The divine flame burned and swept towards Chu Kuangren from all directions. Chu Kuangren, on the other hand, stood still and plucked the guqin strings. With a clang, the first movement of the 8 celestial demonic cords, boundless expanse of heaven and earth, was played. The guqin music swept across and shattered the divine flames that filled the sky. Its power even spread to the ground below. One by one, the Divine Flame Ming cult disciples were killed by the guqin music. Not far away, Sword Crown was amazed at the sight. Master's guqin music is truly terrifying. He had heard about how Chu Kuangren single-handedly destroyed the allied army of the orthodoxies, but seeing it with his own eyes was better than hearing about it. This power shocked him to the core. At the same time, he felt a sense of urgency. His master's strength was so shocking. If he did not improve, how was he going to help his master in the future? Looks like I'll have to find some time to go into closed-door meditation when I return. Sword Crown murmured. Although he had once again lost to Sword Crown, he did not come out empty-handed. After this battle, he had reached the threshold of the Earth Immortal Realm. In addition, with Tsai's death, he had completely cut off his inner emotions. With no more shackles, breaking through to the Earth Immortal Realm was almost guaranteed. Clang, 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 Chu Kuangren's guqin music echoed in all directions. The guqin music was like thunder, one after another. The Divine Flame Cult Master could not fight against it at all. Even if he sacrificed everything he had, he would still be defeated. Double reverberation of heaven and earth. The 7th movement of the 8 celestial demonic cords rang out. The terrifying sound waves were like a tidal wave that turned the entire Divine Flame Cult's headquarters upside down. Countless disciples died. The Divine Flame Cult Master was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. His immortal body exploded. Our leader is dead? One of the cultivators said in shock. Run! It's a demon! He's a demon! One by one, the cultivators began to flee in panic. However, Sword Crown was watching from afar. With a flick of his sword finger, a sky full of sword chi poured out. Chu Kuangren saw that and did not care. Not long after, the Divine Flame Cult was destroyed. Chu Kuangren looked into the distance and pondered for a while. The other orthodoxies that attacked him were the Divine Dragon Island and the Honorable Demon Court. However, these 2 orthodoxies originated from the immortal ancient era. Their resources were not something an immortal orthodoxy like the Divine Flame Cult could compare to. Chu Kuangren even suspected that they had a heavenly immortal as their leader. A heavenly immortal was a powerful Taoist. With Chu Kuangren's current strength, he still had a long way to go against such a person. More importantly, the effect of the 3 days Ascension pill is about to wear off. I should return to the academy and break through to become an immortal first. Chu Kuangren murmured. As he spoke, his immortal essence quickly receded like a tidal wave. Beside him, Sword Crown was a little surprised. Then he came to a realization. It seems that Master has used some kind of technique to break through to the immortal realm. Meanwhile, in the immortal realm, many people were watching Chu Kuangren's actions. The rapidly dissipating immortal essence also caught their attention. It seems that Chu Kuangren has yet to become an immortal. He must have used some kind of secret technique or consumed some kind of treasure to temporarily break through to become an immortal. Chapter 1003. The news of the destruction of the Sword Burial Sea, Holy City, Golden Mountain Temple, and Divine Flame Ming cult quickly spread throughout the Qinglan immortal world. In an instant, Chu Kuangren's infamous name shook the entire immortal realm. It was not an immortal orthodoxy. Instead, there were 4 immortal orthodoxies. In just 3 short days, Chu Kuangren had destroyed 4 immortal-grade orthodoxies one after another. This matter had shocked countless people. Too cruel, too cruel. 4 immortal-grade orthodoxies are gone just like that. I can't believe Chu Kuangren could actually do it. This guy is truly a maniac. In the future, no matter who I provoke, I won't provoke this person. The entire immortal realm trembled at the mention of Chu Kuangren's name. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren, who had stirred up so much trouble, had returned to the 100 Academy to prepare for his breakthrough into the immortal realm. Jian Guan also went into secluded cultivation to break through to the Earth's celestial stage. Lan Yu and the little fox were also cultivating on their own. Time flew by. It had been a year since Chu Kuangren annihilated the 3 great immortal orthodoxies. During this time, Chu Kuangren had been in closed-door meditation. Clearly, becoming an immortal was more difficult than he had imagined. Perhaps this was because his origin was different from ordinary people. During the 1 year that Chu Kuangren was in closed-door meditation, the outside world had undergone many changes as many things happened. For example, the great Yuan God dynasty's son of destiny, Yuan Su, had caught the eye of the immortal ancient Dao sect's heavenly punishment sacred sect and joined them, becoming one of their Taoists. Another example was the son of destiny, Lin Yan. After the Divine Flame Ming cult was destroyed, he trained in various places and relied on his outstanding courage and luck to quickly rise to power. There was also a rumor that Lin Yan had learned an exquisite alchemy technique from somewhere. With this exquisite alchemy Dao, no matter where he went, he was treated as a distinguished guest. There was also Yan Honghua and Lan Yu who were famous in the immortal world. They were known as 2 of the 4 beauties of Qinglan. Recently, there was another big piece of news. Divine Dragon Island's son of destiny, the Golden Dragon Young Master, was the first to overcome the 3 calamities and 9 tribulations and become an immortal. This news could be said to have caused quite a stir. Although the Golden Dragon Young Master of the Divine Dragon Island didn't venture out much, one could imagine his strength. The young master of the Divine Dragon Island's Golden Dragon bloodline. At the very least, it should be a king of immortal seeds. Furthermore, he was the son of destiny. Just how powerful was his battle prowess after breaking through to become an immortal? Quite a number of people even compared him to Chu Kuangren, whose name had shaken the immortal realm a year ago. They wanted to see who was more outstanding between the 2. Some said that it was Chu Kuangren. After all, he had slain dozens of immortals, and his combat strength had been witnessed by the entire immortal realm. Some said it was the Golden Dragon Young Master. The reason was that Chu Kuangren had forcefully ascended to the immortal realm through some means. He did not even go through the 3 disasters and 9 tribulations, so he was not an immortal. The Golden Dragon Young Master was a genuine immortal. For a time, they argued endlessly. Both sides said that they were right, and both sides said that they were right. Neither side could convince the other, and until today, there was no conclusion. After the young master of the Golden Dragon clan became an immortal, another piece of shocking news spread and caused an uproar in the entire Qinglan immortal world. That was, Divine Dragon Island was preparing to form a marriage alliance with Mount Wudong. One of the 2 parties involved in the marriage was the Golden Dragon Young Master, who had recently become famous in the immortal world. He was the first of the known children of destiny to ascend to immortality. The other was a phoenix lady from Mount Wudong. The marriage alliance between the 2 most powerful beasts caused a sensation that was no less than Chu Kuangren's battle back then. There were too many things involved in this matter. In Mount Wudong, "I'm not getting married, I'm not getting married." A young lady was protesting against the 2 mountain chieftains of Mount Wudong. The 2 mountain chieftains were a man and a woman. They were a pair of Taoist companions, and they were also the 2 most powerful beings in Mount Wudong. "Phoenix Hong my surname is Chu," the young lady said firmly. The handsome mountain chieftain frowned, and a hint of displeasure flashed across his eyes. You're a godly phoenix, so your surname should be Phoenix. My surname is Chu. Chu Hong still did not change her mind. All right, Chu Hong, this is a serious matter. That golden dragon young master is the most outstanding dragon among the younger generation of the Divine Dragon Island, and he's also a child of destiny. Rumor has it that he's about to evolve into a pure-blooded dragon, and you happen to be a pure-blooded godly phoenix. Marrying him will only bring you benefits. Beside her, the lady in luxurious robes, Mountain Chieftain Huang, advised. I'm not getting married. I said I'm not getting married. That's not up to you. Mountain Chieftain Feng said coldly. You guys, Chu Hong was furious, but there was nothing she could do. In the end, her figure flashed, and she turned into a stream of light that flew into the distance, wanting to leave Mount Wudong. However, before she could fly far, a fiery red barrier of light appeared in the sky and intercepted her. It's useless. The entire Mount Wudong is isolated by the leaf fire barrier. Without my permission, you won't be able to leave. Mountain Chieftain Feng said calmly. Even if you lock me up here, I will definitely not marry that golden dragon young master. Chu Hong will bring you back to Mount Wudong and help you awaken the pure-blooded godly phoenix bloodline. We'll let you be the phoenix lady. Now, we're just asking you to do something for Mount Wudong. Aren't you willing? Mountain Chieftain Feng said coldly. I'm very grateful for what you've done for me. I'm also willing to contribute to Mount Wudong, but not this time. Chu Hong said. She had never even seen that golden dragon young master before. Wanting her to marry him was worse than killing her. Mountain Chieftain Feng was furious. Husband, let me say it, Mountain Chieftain Feng said. She looked at Chu Hong and said, I've already invited the golden dragon young master to Mount Wudong. How about this? You can spend some time with him. If you're really not suitable, we'll talk about it then. No matter what, I won't marry him. Chu Hong took a deep breath and turned to leave. Beside her, Mountain Chieftain Feng saw this and a cold look flashed across her eyes. She said, in the end, it's not a godly phoenix that grew up in Mount Wudong. It can't be raised well. In short, it's imperative to unite with Divine Dragon Island by marriage. Husband, are we really going to do this? Mountain Chieftain Feng said helplessly. Divine Dragon Island has developed rapidly in the past 10,000 years. Outstanding dragon sons have appeared one after another. Vaguely, Mount Wudong has been suppressed by them. Now, another son of destiny has appeared. It can be said that the heavens are blessing the dragon clan. Mountain Chieftain Feng sighed. There's also the Supreme Demon Court. Under the leadership of that demon lord, it has a vague tendency to unify the demon clan. Don't forget, they captured Qing Feng some time ago. What does this mean? It means that they've been plotting against Mount Wudong for a long time. Mount Wudong is currently lacking in manpower. If we don't unite with Divine Dragon Island through marriage, it's only a matter of time before we get annexed by the Supreme Demon Court. Mountain Chieftain Feng still had lingering fears when she heard that. Fortunately, Qing Feng had Chu Kuangren's help to return safely. Moreover, he even awakened the Green Phoenix bloodline. This is a blessing in disguise. But this Chu Kuangren has also killed one of our phoenix sons. Mountain Chieftain Feng snorted coldly. The Green Phoenix has the ability to foresee things. Qing Feng said that Mount Wudong's turning point lies with Chu Hong. Are you really going to marry her off? Don't forget, Qing Feng said that Chu Hong's turning point is coincidentally the time for the Divine Dragon Island to unite with Mount Wudong through marriage. In my opinion, the turning point is for Chu Hong to marry the Golden Dragon young master. When that time comes, we can gather the strength of Divine Dragon Island and Mount Wudong to help the Golden Dragon young master become the son of destiny. Mountain Chieftain Feng said confidently. You're tuning in to the Wandering Hero YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.